Today we brought together three people with completely different beliefs.
I'm a Christian.
I am Hindu.
At the moment, I'm just following myself, my inner voice, let's call it.
And they're going up against three student teachers of Dr. Malachi Z. York.
You can't make a mistake and then be upset with himself for making a mistake if he knows everything and knows how to make things perfectly.
Boy, you have to speak to God on this one.
You have to speak to him.
It's in your scriptures.
Wait. Is this, when you say I have to speak to him, is it a designated time that you can speak to him? Or can you speak to him right now?
Right now.
Can you ask him?
I will be reading out statements from the student teachers. If you disagree, raise your flag.
If you're new here, hit subscribe and turn on your notifications.
Raise your flag if you disagree. Jesus was married and had children.
I would just like to know more about the statement.
Okay. Are you familiar with the Bible and the story?
Yeah.
Okay, so you know about the wedding in Cana?
Yeah.
Whose wedding was it? See, most people don't know because they don't tell you.
Okay.
That was actually his wedding. And the reason you know is because of when you start to read the whole story, it's like there was a wedding in Cana and Jesus attended, and like when you start to follow the details, it's like, why is he being asked about the problems of the wedding? If he's a guest, he wouldn't be the one that Mary will come up to him and say like, the wine is running out. And then that's supposedly his first miracle, right? Where he turned water into wine, you see. But as you go on throughout the story, you start to see that his wife, who was, they say Mary Magdalene, but it's really a mistranslation from the word Magdala, okay? But she was his wife because when you study Jewish traditions, only a wife can do certain things, like rub his feet with oil. Like, for example, in order for you to be a teacher and be called a Rabboni, yeah, in Jewish law, you have to be married to be a rabbi to teach. So there are many things that you start to unfold when you look at the whole story and put it all together. And he did have children as well, you see. So he was a member of what's known as the Essenes. And they were strict, very disciplined people that, you know, John the Baptist was also a part of that. So they needed to keep the secret because in that order, you weren't really supposed to be married. And then in modern times, they give you a story, a movie called The Da Vinci Code, which actually explains and goes into the fact that Jesus had a bloodline and that, you know, that bloodline was smuggled through France by, you know, the Jesuits and certain people that were aware of the secret of his marriage. But I'm sure the brothers can elaborate as well.
That's
Interesting.
Yeah, the marriage or the wedding in Cana of Galilee, you find that in John chapter 3. And if you go to Acts 13, reading from 1, you read how it talks about a character by the name of Simon Bar Jesus. And they don't tell you that word bar, it's unusual they use the word bar because that bar is a Hebrew word meaning son. So when they say Simon Bar Jesus, it should be Simon, son of Jesus. You see, it's why they deliberately left that word in the Hebrew. Why not just say, so they should just say Simon, son of Jesus. Then people start to click, oh, Simon, son of Jesus, and then it will raise questions as well. So did Jesus have children? Well, according to that, it means he did. That was his son. Also, like Saken pointed out, that there's certain things that a woman cannot do to a man, you know, unless they're married, and that takes place. You find it in, I think it's around about Matthew or John, where Jesus is crucified. Then Mary went to attend to the body of Jesus. Only a wife can do that, to attend to the body and to anoint the body, to do certain, you follow? So these are certain traditions that's only ascribed for a female to do would have to be a close relative or his wife. So when you start to add these connected dots, you realize that Jesus was not a single man. He had children. He had 2 wives in actuality, and as Saken said, that her name is Mary Magdala. Magdala is an ancient city or town in Egypt. So there's a lot going on that is being concealed.
I think it's being covered.
Well, what I want to do touch on again is what Haptui said, that there are actually 3 different Jesus characters in that story, and their stories are all mixed up, and this is why people get confused, because Happy Ray pointed out one, which is Bar Jesus, which means the son of Jesus, from Mary Magdalene and him. But you also have somebody else called Cleophas, who is also the son of Mark Antony and Cleopatra. And then you have the real Jesus himself, whose name is Yeshua in the Hebrew, because again, there were no J's or V's in Hebrew, so you can't make up a name like Jesus. So the J would be replaced by a Y, hence Yeshua, which is the Savior. So these 3 people's stories mixed up into one in the Bible. So sometimes you see one is like, behaving in a particular manner, like when they see him without any clothes by the river, and then another time he's saying, let's get swords and get money and buy swords in preparation for the war with the Pharisees and the Sanhedrin, etc. So there's like, if you look at the characters, one is kind of militant, one is very passive, and one is just very basically like a rebel. Yeah. So. Yeah.
So do you think there's 3 different Jesuses then, or do you think?
Let me just So
or do you think they're just different names?
No. What Ken is, and I don't want to overstep what he's explained. They're composite characters, so it's a composite. So imagine you have your sister, your brother. You got 3 of you, okay, and the story's written about you 3, your siblings, your sisters.
Yeah.
But then, years later, generations later, they've composed all those 3 characters into one character. Does that make sense? Yeah, so he's a composite character. And then they added the ghost aspect to it too when they came into the Romans. When the Romans then became the Roman Catholic Church, they added the ghost aspect where they talk about your Jesus being, born of a divine Mary and the Holy Ghost and stuff. So they added certain aspects, but initially it's a composite character. And there was 3 different people. So Justus, Cleophas, that's one character, Yeshua, and then you had the Simon Bar Jesus. So Simon Bar Jesus, he died. He was, stoned to death, okay? And then you had Cleophas, who became your Saint Isa. So you hear about Saint Isa, who traveled to India and other areas and then was teaching. That is your Cleophas, who was the son of Cleopatra or Mark Antony. Do you follow? Yeah?
I mean, I don't agree with everything, but
don't,
certain things I'm like, okay.
Check it out. That's what through our teachings, and Dr. Malkaze Jork, who's our teacher and our spiritual guide on Warner, he's always taught us, don't believe what he teaches, because he wants you to be part of the learning process. So in order for you to learn and to understand what you're actually being told, you have to go and seek information and research it for yourself. You know what I mean? Many people are left with the belief, you know what I mean? And then they don't go any further, to go and actually investigate. And that's what we say, investigate it for yourself.
I just want to add, let's look at monotheism, Mosesism, Jesusism, and Mohammedism. These scriptures are written in such a way that in order to be able to explain them, you need a spiritual master. Not any and everybody has that ability to explain what is written. And not only that, you've got a certain attributes that's required in explaining the scriptures. One of them, and the most important one, is the language. You've got to know the language in which the scriptures were revealed in. And you've got to know the history behind that as well. So now, we say you need to be a spiritual master to have to explain the scriptures. Dr. Malachi Ziyok, who we refer to as Parnabab Yananan, which is a galactical master of heaven and earth, he is what is referred to as a polyglot, multilinguist, and he knows the languages of the Hebrew, the Greek, and the Arabic. Let's take it a bit further. He knows not only the Hebrew, because the original scriptures was not revealed in Hebrew. Say the Old Testament is revealed in, it's come from scriptures that predate them. The Old Testament is come from like the cuneiform, certain. Let's stop there at the cuneiform. The New Testaments come from the ancient Greek, and the Quran has come from the Arabic. But the Arabic is not the Arabic that people are actually referring to today. It has its roots in the Ashuric. The Hebrew is from the Aramic, and we also got the cuneiform. Cuneiform is actually not it's the script, but not the actual language. The actual language is called Nawapic. See, so what the master done, he's taken us back to the origin. And all the scriptures are coming out of what's referred to as the mother scriptures, which is really from the Akasha record, which is coming from a place, from a star system called Ilion, which you'll find in the Quran in chapter 63, verse 18 to 19. It mentions the word Ilion, the place on high. So we are, and these beings, these Dr. Malachi Ziyok, or let's say the entity that's within him, is called Par-Nabab Yanun. You know them in the religious world as Malachi Zadok, a being who incarnates from time to time to time to time. And this is his present incarnation into the body of His Excellency Dr. Malachi Ziyok, and we are just one of many of his student teachers. Okay, so we just had to give you that.
So Haptui has given you a lot and taken it quite wide, but simply what we're saying is we're dealing with truth, and you have truth and you have lies. You have falsehood and you literally have the facts. Most people have been taught, not even taught, have been given a belief system and what to think and not how to think, so that they can actually investigate and research and check things out for themselves. So in order for you to establish something being false or true, you literally have to study. And the more you study, the more backwards you go, because you have to go to the root or the origin of things. And that's what we're saying, that if you look at everything in religion, especially the monotheistic religions, they start off with a creation. They start up at a beginning or a point, but then that locks your mind into this system of there has to be a beginning, right? And so they then give you a beginning of a character, whether you call that character God, Allah, because if you ask Muslims what's the name of Allah, they will say God. You ask Christians what's the name of their deity, they say God. You ask the Hebrews or people that follow Judaism, what's the name of God, they will say God. So you ask the question, well, who named God? Who named God? And if a Muslim says, okay, it's not God, it's Allah, then you're like, okay, who named Allah? Allah. And whatever answer you get, it's going to be like, what language is that? So what language was he named in? And whoever created the language or spoke the language is the person that named God or Allah. So you have to say, how old is the language? If you're dealing with Arabic, then you're talking about 1400 years ago. If you're talking about Greek and Latin, you're going back 2,000 years ago. You're talking about Hebrew, you're going back 4,000. But then we go, that's a religious time frame. Yeah, and then you come out of the religious time frame, there are people that already existed before 6,000 years ago. The Zoroastrians, the Mayans, the Sumerians, the Egyptians, the Chinese, the Hindus, the Yoruba, the Dogons, they all existed before 6,000 years ago. And they had a culture, they had a language, they had spirituality, they had everything. So then it makes the monotheistic religions very tiny in terms of time frame. Then you go to the scientists, they start telling you about a big bang, and they go back millions of years in terms of archaeological findings, DNA testing in terms of anthropologists. So now, do you stay in the realm of belief, or do you really want to know the actual facts or the truth? That's what we teach. And that's why our master teacher, Dr. Malachi Z. York, he encourages you to do the research and dig deep so that you can actually, if you really do want to know the truth, because the truth, as they say, shall make you free. And so that's why we're here, to administer and share the truth about any subject that you want to know the facts about. Okay?
Oh.
Do you guys have any
No.
feedback, follow up?
Yeah.
I'm okay with this.
You got more? No, keep going if you have questions.
Yeah.
Or elaborate more.
No, I was just gonna say, I raised my flag up because I didn't know Jesus was married,
Right.
and just myself, from when I was a child to school, primary school to secondary school, we were taught that Jesus was a prophet, and he was a prophet. Joseph and Mary, and he was crucified, and rebirth, Easter. So that's what we were as kids we were taught. So that's all we know. That's the facts and figures.
But that's based on the belief system. You believed it, didn't you? You didn't check it out.
Yeah.
And most of us grew up that way. We just believed it.
What I liked you said, it could be just in one phrase, belief is not enough, you need to know.
No.
Absolutely.
And that's my principle in life. Just check everything.
Yeah.
Don't trust because somebody told you so.
Exactly. And when you look at the word belief or believe, it literally has lie in the middle of it.
Exactly.
And when you look at the word knowledge, it has no at the beginning of it. So knowledge is power, because the more you know, the more you can utilize that knowledge for yourself.
Right.
But to go back to your point of, it's a nice little story. It's like when you're a child, you're given stories. Father Christmas, he lives in the North Pole. He has reindeers. He knows every young child's heart when they've been good or bad. And he's got flying reindeers, and he wears a red suit, and he comes to you when your night comes through the chimney and leaves presents for you. As a child, that sounds like a really great story. But when you get older, you start to ask questions. Why the red colors? Why is he obese? Why? There's certain things that,
Exactly,
logical things. And there are people that grow up from a child to an adult still believe in that story. And then when you start to go into the details, like it's a character, it's a story, it's like Superman or Batman or any of the other superheroes, they're nice little stories. But the facts, can a man really fly? And I'm talking about in the sense of Superman.
And wear a cape.
And wear a cape. And it's the same story. The Bible is stories that were borrowed from other cultures, and unfortunately, they trap your mind, because each monotheistic religion says, if you don't believe and follow this book, then we don't accept you. You're an outcast, you see, and everyone says they're right, but then you start to probe and you ask questions like, you're all from Abrahamic religion, so you all agree that Abraham is your patriarch. So why do you guys disagree with each other? You all say you follow and believe in one person, Jesus, but yet you're fighting over land, and you're all divisive and just constantly just not able to get along. See, truth is unity. Yeah, it brings the puzzle together, whereas lies and belief is the exact opposite.
For me personally, when you say about like Father Christmas, for me, Father Christmas and Jesus are completely different, because me personally, I've had my own spiritual experience with Jesus, and it's been quite a different journey from other people. So for me personally, that's how I know he is real.
Okay,
And it's
but
not based on, what people tell me or anything like that. But I've just had my own personal journey. And yeah.
So I would say the inference I made between Jesus and Father Christmas is that it's a story. It's a story.
Yeah, I hear that.
And so how do you know it's true? Now, I don't doubt you've had a spiritual experience, but then to say that spiritual experience is related to Jesus, it's a different thing, because there's spirituality. Spirituality has always been around before the story of Jesus. So you have to understand and know the differences between having spiritual experiences and then relating it to someone or something that someone else has told you. That's what it is. You follow?
I understand what you're saying, but sorry.
Yeah, go on,
let me
go on.
finish.
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying, but I personally have had my own experience, which is how I know he's real. And it's based on faith. So I believe faith is believing in things that you can't see.
Do you want to make that? Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so you said faith is believing in things you can't see. That's not facts, though.
I hear you, but that's the whole point of faith.
Yeah, but you can believe anything then. Anyone can claim and believe anything. But how do we know if we don't get to the facts?
But that's the whole point of faith.
Okay. If you've made it this far, that's fantastic. It means you're taking in the content. So the most important parts are generally at the end. So don't skip, stay with it, and make sure that you comment.
Raise your flag if you disagree. Hindus are not from Earth.
Hindus are not from Earth. Damn it.
You from Earth?
I'm Hindu. I know, right? Look at me where Yes, Hindus are from Earth, so I don't.
So raise your flag if you disagree. Hindus are not from Earth.
Yeah, I disagree.
You have to roll out your
Oh, I'm not
Roll it,
from
roll
Earth.
it, roll it. Shake that flag.
Not
Shake
from
that.
Earth.
Wait, so
Hindus are not from Earth.
What I do, because I want to ask some questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, Hindus.
Okay, that's an interesting statement, especially when you look on all the depictions in old Hindu stories.
Mm-hmm.
They show the chariots in the skies. They show the lightning bolts shoot at the enemies. They are from the other place, because people can't fly normally in earthly conditions, unless on British Airways.
so you believe they're from Earth or not?
I believe. No, I'm just researching, and it shows that life on Earth is not from Earth. It come here in, let's say, rescue mission or seeking new places for living, something like this. And the more
They
the
tend
more
to
the,
answer.
the
They
more
want
the
the
more- the
answers.
more
You
I
want the
read-
answers?
the more I read,
Yeah.
the more evidence I can
Well,
Who
find.
made that statement?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah. So when you talk about, you heard of a place? There's a group actually called Nirvana. Yeah, it's like a rock group.
Yeah.
Nirvana. Yeah, and it means a place where you go into a high elevated state. Do you get what I'm saying? Or origin. Okay. Nirvana is actually a place where beings have come from. It's in a galaxy. You understand?
Right.
So when you read about you got the Upanishads. You know about the Upanishads? Okay, because you said you're Hindu. isn't it?
I'm Hindu.
You're Hindu, yeah. So I'm asking you. You know about the Upanishads? Okay.
No.
So you got the Upanishads. You can research this.
Okay.
You got the Bhagavad Gita.
Yes.
Yeah. You know about that, yeah. And they talk about certain incidences that took place, wars, etc. Yeah, in the Mahabharata. Okay.
Ramayana.
Yeah. So you know about all of that. You hear about Krishna. Yeah, you hear about Vishnu and Shiva and all of these beings, okay? What you have to realize is these beings were beings from other worlds that were seeking refuge or came to this world many, many millions of years ago and established the Hindu culture that you know today. Yeah? So when you talk about Brahma and Shiva and stuff, they were incarnations onto this realm. Does that make sense? Yeah? And you hear about crafts called Vimanas. These are all crafts that have come to this realm from other star systems.
Star system, right?
Does that make sense?
So this was way before.
This is way before. So they established the Hindu culture on this planet, you see? And when you read the stories, they talk about Ganesha and, beings have 4 arms, 4 legs and, other, or wings, etc. And some were warriors, some were demons. All of these written in a story form, but really and truly, they talk about beings that had certain abilities or they were doing genetic manipulation. Just what I'm saying, when they came here, from their world. So Procyon, there's a place called Procyon, which means before the dog in Greek. Yeah, it's the Canis Major or the Canis Minor star system. And when you look at the word Canis Major and Canis Minor, you're talking about beings that were there that were of a hairy trait, okay? These hairy traits is what you find predominantly in the Hindus because they're very quite hairy people. Do you see what I'm saying? Yeah. So this is not a racial thing. This is something that you observe and you study. You find out that the hairy trait that has happened is because there's beings that are coming here. Even you can go into the Sumerian records. There's a being called Enkidu. Yeah, Enkidu was a creature that was grafted with using genetics, and they came from these star systems. So when we make that statement, you have to look at the books that is written by the Hindu culture and not just take it as just stories. Do you know what I'm saying? As we were talking about the Bible, etc., because they're written in such a way that it looks like it's just what's the word? Fantasy. Do you know what I mean? Written in a fantasy kind of way, but actually got the Hindu pantheon. The Hindu pantheon talks about all these Vishnu, Brahma, Shiva, etc., and Krishna because they were actually beings that came from other worlds to this world, to this planet.
And what's interesting about the Hindu is because most people tell you that the Hindu religion is the oldest, or one of the oldest religions, once you get outside of your Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. But we as Africans predate the Hindus. So going back to the original question, everyone is not from Earth because life was seeded on the planet Earth. So it's not just the Hindus, it's like you go back to who was here before the Hindus, and that will be our ancestors, who a lot of people now know or refer to as the Egyptians. But then when you're going by religion, the books tell you the Egyptians are bad pagan people because also they have stories and images of beings that look like animals, like with masks on, like Tahuti, it's got a beak, Khonsu dealing with the wings. And most of the religions came from Hinduism. But Hinduism watched our ancestors who were here first, and then they drew their religion from that because they saw how we lived and they started to worship our deities. Okay, so ancient Egyptian deities like Amun, Osiris, and all these words that ended up like into Greek and then eventually into the monotheistic religions. So we're saying that to say that when you go to the oldest people on the planet, they always tell you that their origins are from off Earth. That's why I was saying like the Dogons, for example, they talk about Nomo or Nomos coming from outside the planet. The ancient Egyptians, they talk and tie themselves back to the Sirius star constellation and the Orion star constellation. And that is where you lead by to get to the planet called Risk, where our master teacher as an avatar is an incarnation from. You see, and that's in a galaxy called Ilion. These are star systems or constellations that are actually mentioned in all the monotheistic religions. So when you go to like Job 9:9, Amos 5:8, you hear about Arcturus, Pleiades. You got beings that come from the Pleiades star constellations. You know, your Ashtar Command and your blonde hair, blue eye beings that Hitler was trying to make a supreme race or the Aryan race from. So everyone on the planet, especially the three root races, the Africans, the Asians, and the Caucasians, they all have their origins from outside of the earth. So God, Jesus, angels, you know, Gabriel, all of these beings that are spoken about, they tell you they come from a place called heaven, but heaven is not on earth. So that means they're coming from outside the earth as celestial beings, and then they come here and take on the form. So the oldest records that have been deciphered, stored, are the ones of the ancient Egyptians, and the walls of Egypt on the pyramid, they tell the stories. But it's just that most people can't or didn't know how to speak that language, or you know, the script, which is hieroglyphics. And then you go into the Sumerian, which is the script Haptuit spoke about, cuneiform. But both of these scripts are of a language that was brought to the planet from our ancestors from the stars. And as their descendants, their children, we have been taught this language, and now we're able to decipher the original stories before they became the Hindu stories of religion worshiping us, because, you know, we knew the sciences of how things started on this planet and how things started in the universe. So when you look at the creation stories of the Bible, the Quran, they tell you that, you know, God or Allah took dust of the ground and formed a man, and then took a rib from that man to form a woman. And this is how they tell you like life started on the planet. But when you learn how to think, you'll be like, bacteria, it's in the dirt. So there was already life in the dirt, you see. So life form, if you start to go to how it started on the planet, you're gonna start to see that, you know, this place was seeded and the waters were seeded, and then things came out of the water. And the same way, when you're seeded in your mother's womb, you then come out of the water. You go back into the universe. Everything aligns in the way things begin. But in religion, they give you a spook story of it just happens instantaneously. You know, God says, or Allah says, let there be light, or kun fayakun, and everything just happens. But real creation evolves, and it came from outside the planet and then evolved here on the planet.
See, so this is the debate, right? Can I interrupt him?
Anytime, of course.
Anytime. Okay, cool. No, because I'm Hindu, right? I was taught from my parents and from my parents' parents that Hindu believe in reincarnation. What's your opinions on that?
It depends on what their perspective is on reincarnation, because from when I was reading some of the Upanishads and other books, I mean, it's regarding spirituality, it says that you start from a low level, do you get what I'm saying, like maybe the rocks and the, you know, vegetation, and then you elevate gradually until you come into the human form. Do you get what I'm saying? That's what I was understanding when I was reading that. So we don't teach reincarnation in that aspect. Yeah.
Okay.
We do teach about reincarnation is that when you transition, okay, based on what you have completed in your life, because your whole journey is to perfect your being. When you incarnate, or when you're in this realm, you're supposed to perfect yourself. You're supposed to, you know, elevate yourself to a state where you're able to transition in a more pleasing or safe way out of this realm. Because a lot of people think in religion, again, back to religion, you die and then if you're good, you go straight to heaven, the pearly gates. Just what I'm saying, just
right.
lack of a better word. But that's not how it works. You with me? It all depends on what you've done here and what kind of, same similar thing regarding Hinduism, the karma, your karmic, do you know what I mean, thing that you've built up. How much karma have you built up? We teach it in ancient Tamaric as the feather of Ma'at. Yeah, in ancient Egypt you have like, you go into the hall of the deities, Amenti. And in the hall, your heart is judged with the weight of a feather. Do you understand? And all the things that you've accumulated, do you see what I'm saying, over the times that you've been on this plane, this earthly plane, if it's lighter than a feather, you'll make that journey. But if you've accumulated hate, negativity, anger, not loving your fellow human beings, all of that kind of stuff, you know what I mean, you will come back here and restart again. Do you understand? But not in the aspect of you start from a vegetable, going through the different existences that are on this realm. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Yeah? So,
I agree.
If I may add to that, so
Thank you.
like everything else, there are facts about what reincarnation is, and there's the belief of what reincarnation is. So when you look at words, you have to break down the word. When you say reincarnation, you're dealing with cardinal, which the way religious people teach it, it's like you're coming back alive in the same body, right? But we know through science that your body decomposes and goes back to the ground. So that same body cannot reincarnate. So when you look at like the stories of, say, Jesus raising Lazarus from the dead, remember Lazarus was supposed to have been unalived or dead for about 3 days. And that time your body gets what you call rigor mortis. It's, you know, you start to smell,
Seize
you
up,
have to get seize up, and then you start to decompose. So there's no way anyone can reincarnate in the same body, which is what the word means. But in terms of, you know, your ability to go through the stages of evolution, right? Because you have different parts of your body or your being. So you have your physical body, you have your spirit, you have your soul, you have your etheric body, you have the plasmatic you, and we take it as the original people further and telling you that you have an etheric body, which is what you're made up of, which is energy. And at each of the realms, you exist in a different form, you see? But in this realm, when you come back, you take on a physical form, because in order to move and be in this realm, you deal with the duality, meaning that everything is like up, down, left, right, you know, like you take on a physical body. So you're kind of like in the middle, and you can lean to the left or to the right, or good and bad, or agreeable and disagreeable, cherubim and seraphim, and there are all these things that describe the duality. So you have God, but what would be the purpose of God if there's no devil? Who benefits from a good God? Do you follow me? So God needs the devil to have a role to play. Do you follow what I'm saying? Because you need the two sides. But what we're saying is that once you pass this physical realm, which is the lowest one, right, you shed your physical body, which goes back to the elements. But then your energetic being or your spiritual being goes to the next level. So you have the physical, you have the spiritual, you have the soul, you have the mental, and then you go on to the higher levels, which is etheric beings. So if you keep looping and coming back to the physical, it means that when you get to the stage of crossing over, if you haven't, like my brother said, haven't accumulated enough karmic energy in your matrix, then you come back to relearn and master this physical realm. If you don't master this physical realm, you can't move on to the next one. It's like going to school, but you've got to get through kindergarten or nursery, and then you go into primary, and then you go into secondary school. And the higher you go, the more you learn as a being of light, if you want to use that level, but not light in the sense of fire, because that's another point I want to quickly make before I let Happy Ray come in. They tell you that God said, let there be light, right, in the beginning. So that means God dwelled in darkness, okay? And when you say let there be light, what type of light are we talking about? Because when you start to study light, there are different types of light, different forms of light, you see? So they don't tell you, then they just leave it like that. So that light being I'm talking about is the energy being, the etheric you, which is what becomes the highest form of you, which is your soul, because the soul can travel to the higher realms. But if you don't have a soul, or you've lost it, or it's not activated, you cannot transcend and go to the higher realms. Yeah, so the God that said, let there be light, before he said that would have been in darkness. And the first people on the planet they're called black people because we are dark. And then all light comes from the dark people. You see what I'm saying? And that's genetically, that's scientifically proven. This is not about racism. It's just that when you're listening to terms, it's no coincidence that it's actually mimicking how the galaxy, the universe formed, and then people on the planet just mimic the way the universe works and how natural nature works.
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
So you know when you say about you think Hindus are not from Earth, do you mean like the beings or do you mean people in the religion?
Everyone that you see
Or
physically,
just generally?
everyone you see physically is not from Earth. That's why in the
Okay.
Bible,
So not just Hindus, every religion?
everyone, but we're just saying, we just pose that, well, my brother posed that
to
question.
just stimulate.
Why
To stimulate.
Hindus? Why Hindus specifically?
Because there's stories, okay, of the Hindu culture, but many
Okay.
people don't know that these are actual beings that came from different star systems. You with me? They just read the story as if it's just a play. Do you see what I'm saying? You watch it in the Hindu movies and etc. But it's enacting some kind of story. But where every story has a factual existence to it. You understand? And this is where you got your mythology from. So they talk about Hindus as if it's like a mythological stories, but it's not a myth. It's actually beings that existed from higher realms and higher places, and they came here. And as the brother Saken was saying, is that the Akasha records, they pulled some of that information, and that became your Hinduism, which is the practice of the Kama Sutra and other, you know, things like of that kind of rituals and practices. But the actual beings came from other star systems, just like Saken saying, we're all from different star systems. We're all seeded here.
That's why I took it to the ancient Egyptians, and that story of who you're calling Jesus comes from the ancient Egyptian stories. So even if you look at the story of Jesus, he's supposed to have come from heaven, right? God had a son, but he didn't have a woman to have a son with. How does that make sense? But he has a son, the son comes down to the earth, and his whole purpose of coming down is to come and die, to remove sins from the world, and he gets crucified. Then he goes back to heaven to sit on the right hand side of his father. There's so much wrong with that story, because if his father is all powerful and can do everything, he didn't need to send his son. He could have just clicked his finger and say, all the evil, all the bad things on the planet go. So Jesus is an extraterrestrial. God is an extraterrestrial. The angels are extraterrestrials because they're not from here.
I don't believe that. But it's interesting because you said earlier that heaven is here on earth.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, but then if we examine that and say, let's go into the details, what do you mean by that?
We're living,
Because
we're breathing.
heaven can be a state of mind.
Yeah. So
If you say it's a physical place on earth, then we will say, show me where it is.
I just thought it was interesting because you said about that Hindus are not from earth, and then earlier he said about heaven is on earth. So I was just like, okay. I'm just listening.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean I
okay.
believe everything, but
No, of course.
Raise your flag if you disagree. Aliens walk amongst us right now.
yeah, I see one right now.
who me? Oh, okay. I don't mind being an alien. Aliens.
Aliens are living with
You
us.
disagree?
Like walk physically.
Okay. Again, we have to go back
Depends
to
what you define as aliens.
Yeah, exactly. We have to define it again. Yeah. So look into the word. Okay. It could be any foreign matter. Even you can have an alien in your body in the sense of bacteria, etc. Yeah. So let's eliminate that, and then let's look at Hollywood. Hollywood gives us images of aliens, and normally they give us green-eyed monsters.
Yeah.
Children get cartoons with bug-eyed monsters, etc. You with me? So it's been stamped in our minds, in our subconscious, that aliens have to have a particular look, isn't it? Yeah. So when you actually look at the actual word itself, it's actually a composite word. You're looking at the word Ali, which means the highest, and N, which is a Sumerian name for a being that was from a certain star galaxy or star system known as Anu. You understand? What you have to realize is the English language, okay, is composed of many different languages, many different conjunctions and suffixes, etc., and they compound the words together. So when you're reading just the word alien, but you're not breaking it apart. And so what Master Teacher Partner Babyanun does, he says, look at the word, look at and then he takes you back to the origin of the titles of these words, what they mean, how it's been used in the English language, how it's been used in the Greek, etc. So you're looking at two words, compounded words, Ali and En. Does that make sense? Before I go any further. Yeah? Then when we mention about extraterrestrials, again, you're looking at the word extra, which is an addition. Terra, a Latin name for earth. Astral, celestial, is to do with the stars. So when statements are made, I'm not from here, I'm not from above. As Jesus said, I'm from above and you're from below. Yeah? He uses the word ano in the Greek. Again, that's a contradiction. That's another contraction of the word anu or en. He's talking about the heavenly one, being someone from the heavenly abode. Okay? We explained that the heavenly abode, you're talking about star systems. Because the word heaven, when you translate it from the Greek, is the word Orion. You see what I'm saying? So Orion is a star system or star constellation where many different planets and many different beings come from. So these aliens, okay, they had projects on this planet and they seeded their children on this planet. So their DNA is in us. We have their genetic blueprint in us.
This is why Trump is calling people aliens.
Well, I don't know. I think he's probably referring more to people from across different borders and stuff. But Trump, we'll talk about Trump another time. But essentially, these extraterrestrials, their DNA is in us. So we are exhibiting their traits. I'll give you an example of DNA being in us. There's people called polydactyl, who have, go and look it up, they have 6 fingers and 6 toes.
Oh my God, I actually know somebody.
Okay, you know somebody, yeah?
Yeah, born with
How is that possible
6
if
fingers?
Adam was made in the image of God? And Adam had 5, according to all of us, by conscientious, we all have 5 fingers and 5 toes, whatever, on each hand, 5? You can agree?
Yeah.
But somehow in the book of Samuel's, 2 Samuel's, they show you that there's a Goliath, a descendant of these giants, who had 6 fingers and 6 toes. Question, where does that come from? If God didn't make them, who made them? Does that make sense? Yeah? So where are these beings coming from? How come beings have got, and it's 1 in every 1,000. I was researching this. If 1 in every 1,000 people have 6 fingers and 6 toes, and it's known as a genetic trait that's passed on from families to families. So when you start to think about those kind of realities, and then you're talking about extraterrestrials, is it possible? Could it be that beings came here and intermarried with us, and hence we have certain genetic traits that we don't know are from extraterrestrials?
So do you think people with 6 fingers?
Well, can you explain where it comes from? Can you explain where it comes from? Are you able to explain?
No, I'm just asking.
Okay, yeah, I'm saying they don't give you an explanation, and I'm showing you that they talk about the sons of God. Yeah, you read the Bible, right?
Yeah.
It says these are the generations of the heavens and the earth. We told you what heaven means already. We said that it's Orion star system, Sirius star system. These are heavens. These are the heavenly abodes where beings came here. And it talks about the sons of God took the daughters of man and did what with them? Intermixed with them. Yeah? So you're talking about beings that came here and had genetic, obviously, compatibility in order to mix. Are you following?
Yeah.
Yeah?
You're just making me think, because I know somebody
That's right.
who was born with 6 fingers.
Oh, you're getting uncomfortable.
This is interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
But so and then throughout your scriptures, especially when you read the book of Samuel's, it
Yeah.
talks about giants. It talks about David
And Goliath.
fighting Goliath, and he
Yeah.
was a giant. And it talks about a giant that had a spear that was like 30 shekels in weight. If you go and research what 30 shekels in weight looks like, yeah, it's a very heavy spear. So how are these beings walking the planet, but yet they're not referred to as, because the different extraterrestrials that came down here were from different, like I say, stock. They were from different species. So you had some giants, some that were of certain, had certain traits, some that were reptilian, some that had blonde hair, blue eyes, some that had etc. different traits. And these traits are now can manifest in human beings. Does that make sense? So that manifestation of that trait is the 6 fingers and 6 toes, which you can find in the book of Samuel.
Interesting.
So DNA, that DNA is in us. And I don't know whether...
Yeah, I mean, like,
Very
it's
interesting.
actually, if you start to look at evidence today, they're talking about UFOs, they're talking about findings that many people have experienced. You know, I'm talking about beings that live on the planet, that live in the caverns. You know, you got people like Admiral Byrd who went into Shambhala. Shambhala is the center of the earth, the subterranean world in there, and they've encountered many types of beings. You know, when you talk about Bigfoot or the shaggy beings, you got like the Deros, the Teros, the Duanis, the Flugerods, you got the Donakil, you've got, like we said, the Pleiadians. There's so many beings on the planet, and if you look at the planet as being one tiny little planet in a vast universe of life, different life forms, what would make someone think that the Earth is the only place where there's life forms? And when they've gone to other places like Mars, they find water. Water is the sign of life, because life begins as a microcosm of, you know, bacteria, and that develops and evolves into different types of life form. And when we look at any of the religious books, from Genesis all the way to Revelations, it's explaining and showing you extraterrestrials, you know, like the cloud that the children of Israelites were following. Clouds do not behave the way that was behaving, where it moved and it stopped and it had lights. You go to Ezekiel, they talk about Ezekiel's will. You know, the book of Revelation talks about the crystal city. There are many incidences throughout. It's an extraterrestrial book talking about extraterrestrials. And depending on the language that you're using to break down the words, see, like my brother was saying, most people don't take the time to study the language. That's why I said, who named God? Because if you're using English or Arabic or Hebrew, you're only going to go back so far. But you have to go beyond that. And when you study words, you know, words are like English words anyway. They're like, you have a prefix, you have an affix, and then you have a suffix. You see, like, you have to know how these words are put together to make up what you're calling the explanation of the word. But you get something called a dictionary that tells you what the words mean. But somebody wrote the dictionary and defined what the word means, right? But the word diction is where you get the word dictionary from. The word diction is to deal with what? Sound. It's not really telling you about the meaning of the word. But when you go to etymology, that's the root of words and where did that word come from? That's where you have to start. So you have to say, okay, the word God, G-O-D. Without the English alphabet, you wouldn't be able to put those 3 letters together to make the word God. So what was it before that language came about? You go to the Hebrew, it says Elohim. It doesn't say God anymore. Now you're like, what does Elohim mean? Then you're like, oh, it's a plural of a singular, which is Elo or Elo, right? Then you be like, Elo, E-L-O-H, is made up of E-L. Going back to what my brother was saying, that L, yeah? That L is equivalent to your An, as in Anu, you see? And then you start to put the languages together of the monotheistic scriptures. So you look at it, what does it mean in English? What was it before that? So you take a word like Moses in English. You go to the Arabic, they say Musa. You go to the Hebrew, they say Moshe. Then you go to the ancient Egyptians, it becomes Thutmose. So these are actual characters, real people that have been remixed and remixed and remixed. So by the time they get to your English Bible, you're completely confused and lost. So by the time you take Haru or Hiru in ancient Egypt, or Ha, right, it becomes Horus in the Greek, and that story becomes your Jesus story. But because you had the Romans and the Greeks, they took the word Jah, right, from Yah, which is where they get Jehovah, and they took Jah and then Zeus from Greek to put Jesus, which became Jesus. You see, because when you start to look at the letters, the J, it's a G, Gamal, right? It becomes gases. This is why the story of Jesus, it goes from a so-called person to a ghost, because you can't prove a ghost. You say ghost worship, which becomes the gospel, the ghost spell, the spell of ghost worship. And it's easy because anyone can say Jesus exists. We say, where is he? They say he's in the spirit. But you can't prove, where is the spirit? You see, so they take it from...
You have that experience to know.
Yeah, no, but everybody has an experience, and different cultures, different races, they don't attribute their experience to Jesus. You see, so this is what I'm saying, that the religious world gives you stories and beliefs that when you start to probe, they're not authentic. And that's why if you want to know about the true spirit, we can talk about that, your real essence, but it has nothing to do with religion. Like I said, religion is only 6,000 years old, but people on the planet, way before religion, monotheistic religion was introduced. So it's either people want to know the truth or they don't, because the truth will make you free once you learn and know the truth. But not many people are willing to
let go of the belief systems.
Yeah, let go of the belief systems.
Raise your flag if you disagree. The earth is hollow.
What do you mean by hollow?
Empty inside. There's no core inside. It's rather another realm over there.
You been there? just kidding.
I don't know.
So you all agree?
You all agree? The earth is hollow. Cool. All right.
Or you
I don't really have an opinion.
Yeah, I don't, yeah.
I can wave a flag because it could be, on the both sides of the fence, really.
I mean, remember, if you want to know more about the subject as well, you can ask questions.
Exactly, because there's a lot of people claiming the earth is hollow, and in fact, there is another civilization living in it. And Hollywood, which is a really early warning system, just shows that in the movies. All of the things you've said, it's in the Hollywood movies. You remember Avatar?
I love Avatar.
and it probably shows a lot of truth in it, how it works. Same, Hollow Earth. I don't remember the title, but that was based on Julius Verne.
Yeah, 20,000 leagues or something like that, and the center of the Earth.
Yeah, another one
Journey
was,
to the center
they were journeying to the center of the Earth. They got dinosaurs, and
That's
everything what Hollywood can invent was there. But they don't show things without a purpose.
Over to you.
So
I think it could be hollow, and it could have something in it.
anybody else?
I don't really have an opinion.
I actually want an answer to that.
Just was
Yeah, when they splice the earth, and they find out there is a central sun in the earth. Okay, but also there are what you call, the earth is hollow, and there are subterranean caverns within the earth. There's a subterranean world in the earth. As Ken mentioned the name by a guy by the name of Dr. Richard E. Byrd, or Admiral Byrd. If you do some research on Admiral Byrd, he went to Antarctica. So now, with a little research, you realize that he wasn't just flying around by himself. He had a fleet of 1,000-odd crafts, a military fleet, were going to Antarctica. What was that for? Just look at the penguins. No, they knew something, that there's something of value, not just interest, that was there in Antarctica. They know that there is a subterranean world, and the word is Shambhala. The word Shambhala, again, we talk about the language. Language is very, very important. We cannot overemphasize the importance of learning of language. Even in the English language, go in the dictionary, what does this word mean? You also have to, sometimes, more often than not, you have to step outside of language and go into other, step outside the English, go into other languages to find out what does that word mean, etc., etc. In terms of the word is, study the etymology of meaning of words. The reason why we say language is so important, because it helps to break the spell. You hear the word spell in, to enforce the spell, a hypnotic spell of sleep on people is done by way of the English language. English language is one of the worst language, is the worst language on the planet Earth. However, let's continue. So, Admiral Byrd went to Antarctica and was looking at a place called, found a place called Shambhala, which translates as the Descent of Allah. Within Shambhala, there's a place, the capital is called Agartha, through the hole, and the capital city is called Wahala, which translates as the Golden Palace. So they know that within the earth there's a subterranean world called Shambhala, and that is what they are seeking. They know the entrance is there, but it's controlled by extraterrestrials. And even Earthlings, they also have bases there in certain caverns there. So that's why Antarctica is kind of shrouded, because they don't want people to actually access the region. So the earth is hollow, and they know it.
When you look at anything, when you look at the earth, you have to study the earth. So the earth has, you've got the north and the south poles, right? Now we have satellite images, and we have technology that we can actually look at things, yeah? So you have like the crust, so there's different layers. So even though you may have volcanoes, etc., they don't go all the way down into the center of the earth. So if you look at an object, right, the earth has a weight. The scientists will tell you that the earth weighs 6 sextillion tons. So you're gonna say, or you should think, how do you weigh the planet Earth? Because like when we weigh ourselves, we put ourselves on a scale, right? Stand on it, and then it tells us how much we weigh. But with the technology now, you have to look at, when you look at an object and the mass of that object, and there are ways you measure how much it weighs. And if you look at the size of the earth and the mass, you would see that the weight of it doesn't, if something is hollow, it's going to have a different weight than something that is solid. You follow me? So they have weighed it, they have taken the circumference of it, because this is all mathematics, like how many miles does the earth have around it? Because with that you can then have the diameter, you split the diameter in half to get the radius, and like I said,
who measures it?
Scientists. Just like if you want to know anything, who do you go to find the information?
Scientists.
Right, because scientists are supposed to take a scientific approach to prove things. They don't go by belief. They are like, we want to find out the actual facts about something. So they measure it, it's 24,000 miles as a circumference, the weight of it, and then you compare that with other things. Like a solid object of the same size or the same mass would weigh different to what the earth weighs if it was not hollow. Do you follow me? So there are methods now, and there's if you did some research, just search the hollow earth on Google, and you will get diagrams that show you the different layers, the crust, etc., because you have plates that move, okay? You have like volcanoes, they've done movies like Journey to the Center of the Earth.
Yeah.
You have people that have actually been there, and people have gone from one side to the other side and prove that there's no place called hell. where there's a fire burning. If you've gone from the North Pole and come out of the South Pole or vice versa, and then you have many places that you can go through to get to the inner world, like the pyramids in Giza, there are entrances there. There are many entrances in different parts of the world. But as Habtui has said, is that now they're governed and stop people from going to those entrances to go to the subterranean world, known as Ishara as well. There are many names for the planet Earth, many stories about ancient people that have been to the center of the Earth and to these subterranean worlds. You have entrances in South America.
Gobi Desert.
Yeah, so again, something you have to do more research on. Go ahead, Jamal.
No, just to, if you scale it down to yourself as a human being, are you solid?
What do you mean by solid?
Like, if the earth has a mass, and we just said it's hollow,
Yeah.
looking at yourself, are you a solid being? You probably say yes. Most people probably think, yeah, solid, yeah, etc. I'm solid. But when you use a stronger enough machine, like an electron microscope, okay, you can actually go past the skin, the dermis, the epidermis, etc., down into the, then you can start seeing cells. When you start seeing cells, you go further and further, you start seeing the actual organs of the cell. Do you understand? So this is showing you that even your body itself is not solid. It's a hollow entity that you're actually in. You know, you're walking, etc. But we think bones, etc. Bones are not solid. They're actually crystals. Do you know what I mean? And they've crystallized and fused together to create your bone. But everything actually has it's not together, because when you look at the atoms of a cell, you have the mass within the middle, okay, protons and neutrons, and you have the electron. And the electron is actually very far away from the actual proton. The only reason why it appears to look solid is because if the molecules themselves have aggregated or come closer together, it appears solid. But you can, if you raise your vibration, you could actually potentially walk through a wall. So, and you could give an example of something called solid mass, like ice. Now I'm just saying, if you look at ice is solid. You raise the temperature of ice, it becomes what?
But sorry, can I just interrupt?
Yeah,
you?
sure.
Because you know, there's a fact that you said hollow earth and the cells and whatnot, but the fact is that it's gonna decompose. We're gonna die. Now my question to you is: the hollow earth gonna decompose?
Eventually. Everything has a life cycle. Yeah. Even the planet Earth has a life. Even the sun itself has a life cycle. You with me? The sun has X amount of billion years to burn, from converting from hydrogen to helium, and eventually it will burn out. You with me? And when it burns out, all the planets in this solar system will be drawn into the sun, and that could cause what is known as a star holocaust. You with me? Yeah, and a black hole. And what a black hole is, that it can pull all other things close by it into itself and act like a stellar vacuum. That's what a black hole is. You with me? And you can actually pull it into another solar system or whatever. So in essence, nothing is solid. Everything are just particles which either appear close together or gases. So we are, even when I look at you, unless I physically touch you, I'm seeing a condensed form of light. That's what I'm actually looking at. I'm looking at a condensed form of light, because you're dealing with the visible light spectrum, red, gold, green, blue, etc., orange, and all of these colors. But when your eyes perceive what I'm perceiving, it's just a camera that's using an optic nerve to then convert it into an image which I'm looking at. Does that make sense? But until I touch you, you're not actually physical, you're just light. So light can be solidified into a form that will appear like it's solid, but it's not solid. Everything's just particles that have come together, or when they break apart, become gas or liquid. Does that make sense?
You said something that we die. We don't actually die. Because when you deal with energy cannot be destroyed, right? So what you're really saying is that your physical you decomposes and goes back to nature, goes back to those particles, because you're actually pockets of energy.
Sure.
And even when you zoom in, like my brother is saying, to the atoms, they're not solid either. It's
Yeah.
pockets of energy, you see. So we don't die. Your skin suit, which you're calling your body,
Sure.
that's what you can say die, but your actual energy doesn't die. It just goes to different levels, as I said before, in terms of how far you've grown spiritually, or if you have a soul and these types of things to go to the higher.
Does that be with us? Does that stay there? The spiritual aspect?
It goes to the spiritual realm.
It goes to the spiritual.
That's the
realm.
real you.
Yeah.
Right.
That is the real you. What you're in now is what we refer to as a skin suit. Yeah, and you can incarnate into many skin suits because you have many incarnations. You see what I'm saying? This is not the first time some of us have been here on this planet. We've been here thousands of times because, like we said before, you have to perfect yourself. And as we've used the analogy, when you go into kindergarten, primary school, secondary, etc. I know, for instance, back home in where I'm from, if a child doesn't make a grade in school, they don't go to the next stage. They stay there until they, you might be familiar with that.
Sure, sir.
Yeah, so it's just the same thing with your essence. If your essence hasn't learned what it's supposed to learn, you're not going to go to the next stage of a learning. You would have to relearn again. So some people have what you call flashbacks or memories of past lives. You with me? If they go into like a hypnotic trance or whatever, they go, and then people are actually remembering their past lives, that they were this before, and there's even documented proof. There's a child who he knew that he was a pilot from his past life.
How?
You get what I'm saying? Because under what's called deep hypnosis or regression, you can tap into those actual memories that are actually part of you. Go and look it up. This is something you can go look up.
But is that a fact for everyone?
It's not a fact for everyone in the sense of having deep, past lives where they can remember, but people do have past lives, have flashbacks.
I just want to add a build to that. The master teacher is an incarnated being who comes in the body of Dr. Malachi Z. York. And he put a book out called Tones, Frequencies and Vibration. Very good scroll. And in there, he mentions that there are those amongst us who are like Panda Babyananand, and he's come to wake them up. These are beings of a high order who are, upon hearing his voice, they'll begin to wake up and will help him on his journey to waking humanity up. The term we use is we call them Pa Munsaru and Pa Nazaru, helpers of the overseers. Panda Babyananand is one of these overseers.
What language is that?
The language is called Mispatia or Sabaic or Nawapic. You see, that's why
From which country?
now this is what the master teacher has created for us.
Okay.
You see, it is the language of the stars, or this language, the tones, frequencies, and vibrations is necessary for us to break the spell. So he's given us this language made from one of us for all of us. So no one can say to us, "Oh, you're saying it wrong," blah blah blah. Anyways, but language is very, very important. It's outside the English language, Mispatia or say Arabic, because we learn Arabic, or the Hebrew, is more precise than the English language, because we have, within the languages, we have dual, singular, plural. There's a whole lot going in terms of languages. Anyway, so the master teacher is an incarnated being who's here to raise up other beings like himself, feminines and masculines, to become, the word we use is Munbab, ones of the masters, galactical masters. And within us, the essence of us is of a high order. Not everyone, but there are those who are of a high order, and upon learning, because we have to raise ourselves up to a level whereby ignition will take place. Well, there's other things that, let's say, certain rituals need to take place, etc., so that we will come back, we will remember once again who and what we are, and come and teach the planet. to raise themselves up. So when you talk about extraterrestrials or aliens, you have to realize that we are all aliens, and the aliens actually, the alien part is the DNA, because the DNA or the essence of you is contained within the DNA.
One quick point. I see you coming with your flag. Remember when I was saying that the Bible and the Quran tell you that this being said, let there be light, and like you have to ask, why was he speaking? If there's no one around to talk to, why do you need to speak? And if you were speaking, what language were you speaking? So these beings that come from different planets, that seeded this planet, they spoke, they had a language. And that language is what was brought to the planet as the first language that Hapire is talking about, called Nuapik, Misbatia, Napata, the different like descriptions of the language. And then the scripts became your cuneiform and your hieroglyphics, which then worked their way down to what we call English today. But the language that was brought down from the heavens is Misbatia. That's what we speak, and that's where all languages come from.
This is what we see here.
Raise your flag if you disagree. Religious people who go to church or mosque are used as tuning forks to open up dimensions.
Oh,
Yeah, okay. I'll do the same because I got the other point of view and I will discuss it.
Explain why do you disagree?
it's not necessarily I disagree, weirdly. It's just, I think everybody is different. I don't think everybody is the same. And I think there's good and there's evil. You know, there's light and there's not. So I believe that some people go to religious places for the wrong reasons, but other people go to actually connect with God. And you don't always need to be in a religious place to connect with God, but that's what I believe anyway.
We just like to ask you a question. You know, when you pray,
Yeah,
where's your prayer going to? The prayer, where's it going to?
to God.
Outwards.
God.
Yeah.
It's going to God. But where is God?
That's the whole point of believing in God. God is everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
So is God inside of you?
Yeah.
In Hinduism, it's taught that God is within you.
Okay.
So you love yourself, take care of yourself, and that's what I believe in. You should take care of yourself because God is within you. And plus, I believe that I should treat people the way I want to be treated because God is in them and God is in me. He's in everyone.
Okay. How about yourself?
Yeah. Going to that question, whether they're tuning forks or something like this.
Yeah.
When you pray, you just direct it outwards of you and somebody is harvesting it.
Yeah.
Because a speech, a language, a sound is a form of energy as well.
Yeah.
It's just a vibration of the air. It doesn't have to be a light.
Yeah.
It can be. So it's going somewhere.
Right.
I cannot quote it because I didn't read it recently, but there is something in one of the biblical scripts or gospels regarding when you want to pray, go to the small room and do it there on your own, which means stay within yourself.
Right. When you're praying,
This is what I think.
right? You know, when you're praying and you pray outward, there is an energy field that's out there that is conscious and conscience. Within those energy fields, there are what we call ether. We have 9 ether, then it goes down to, let's say, 9 ether, 6 ether, and ghost ether. These forces can work to your advantage, means upliftment, or to your disadvantage. You're right in saying that God is everywhere. At the same time, God is also within inside of you. Now, when we are praying, we are directing our energies outward to nothingness, because really, if you can't see, hear, taste, touch, or smell, or feel God, then you're directing your energies outwardly, and you're directing inadvertently to 6 ether and ghost ether forces that are not there for your upliftment.
I don't believe that.
You know what I mean? For this, right, I'm glad you don't
Maybe
believe.
for you,
Yeah.
not for me.
However, when you direct, we should be directing our prayers within inside of us. The reason, if you say God is within inside of you, that makes you deity. The forces makes you God. If God is within inside of you, that makes you God. And you are empowering yourself when you direct those energies to within inside of you, because within inside of you resides your ancestors. They are your deities. Your Most High is in actuality your great-grandparents going back 4 generations. That's what, from your mother and father's side. The deity is you. You are your own deity. Didn't Jesus say himself that you are of your father? What did he say? So Psalms 82:6 says, all the ye are gods.
I said, ye are all gods.
Yeah, Jesus said, I said ye are all ye are gods. The Hebrew is theos. And if you got that, you find from Psalms 82:6 where it says, all ye are gods, children of the Most High. So that Psalms 82:6, that is letting you know that there is a differentiation between God and the Most High. And we said earlier on that our Most High would be our great-great-grandparents from your mother and father's side. You get that? Above them, you got even higher beings we refer to as Pa-Natharu, or Pa-Marzaku, the Riskians, the overseers and the Riskians. So when we directing our prayer outwardly, it is landing, but not to forces that is really to our benefit and our elevation and our salvation and or liberation.
You see, what it is, you're using words, right? But when you're going to break down the word, because you say God, and then when we start to ask you, well, who or what or where is this God that you're praying to? Is he able to hear you? Is he able to receive what you're asking? Because most of the time when people pray, or what they call praying, is they're literally begging to receive things from this being, because they feel that they cannot do it for themselves. So therefore they have to ask some other entity to do it for them. But because you're reading a word, G-O-D, from a book, if you haven't gone into the details of study who that God is, you could be talking to anyone and any entity out there. Right? I just looked up the words as Happy Ray was saying.
It's not just about the Bible for me though.
But let me finish. Because you said God, right? So we have to address who you're calling God, or what is God if you're praying to God.
Yeah, but my belief is not the same as yours, so we're not going to agree.
We're not saying belief. We don't deal with belief. We deal with the facts, and this is what I'm trying to show you. If you will allow me to finish.
But if you weren't in the specific places, how do you know facts are not lies?
Yeah, but I'm saying you're the one that used the term God. You said you pray to God.
I'm just asking you a question. How do you know?
Yeah, but where did you get that word from? You got it from the Bible. So I'm trying to address it, because if you go to, I'm going to give you 3 quotes: Isaiah 19:25, Hosea 12:9, Hosea 13:4, right? If you go and read it, I'm going to read the last one, Hosea 13:4. It says, I am the Lord thy God from the land of Egypt. Mm-hmm. Yeah? So the God, what you're calling God, is a being from Egypt. This is why all religious people pray, and what do they say at the end of their prayer? Amen. Oh, yeah. Amen means Amun, which is an ancient deity from ancient Egypt. And the Muslims say Amin, which is also the same word, Amun. So the God you're praying to, I'm trying to make it real for you, because people will say it like it's just this person or this being, but it's actually a being.
I'm not saying God is a person.
Yeah, but I'm telling you the Bible is saying that. So if you go to Revelation 3:14 right now, it again tells you. So it's all right to say what you're saying, and everybody can say what they're saying. But if I start to probe and say, where do you get that from? And if you're a religious person, a Christian for that matter, and you go to the Bible, it tells you who God is and where God comes from and who God actually is. So you're praying to a being called Amun. And that's one of our ancient deities in ancient Egypt. I've given you the quotes, you can go and look it up, right? So Amun is an ancestor, one of our ancestors. So most people, they pray to their ancestors. That's why Jesus, that looks like blonde hair, blue eye, he is in the image of their ancestors. Yeah, every person on the planet, the Hindus, they will have God in their image and their likeness. Krishna, Shiva, etc. The Chinese, everyone has God in their image. But we, as the oldest people or the first people on the planet, where God, the original gods originate from, we're dealing with ancient Tamaray, or people say Egypt. And that's who you're really talking to. You're talking to Amun, who is the deity, and we can go further into these ancestors of ours that people are praying to, but without realizing it.
Because humans are all one.
What does that mean?
Humans are all one.
Yeah,
We're
but
all-
it
we're all
sounds
one.
nice,
Nobody's above anybody. Everybody.
Okay, we never
is
said
one.
that though, but facts are facts. Humans are not all one because we're different. Everyone's unique.
Yeah, everyone's unique. But
we
I'm saying
have,
we're all one on the planet.
but no one said we weren't. But I'm trying to understand when you make a statement like that, what does that actually mean? Because there are divisions on the planet.
I'm saying that because you mentioned the ancestors and stuff.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
we have ancestors. The Caucasians have ancestors. The Asians have ancestors.
That's the point I'm trying to make. We're all one.
We're all one. We're all equal.
We're all one, but we're different.
Yeah, I agree.
Because we've got different complexions, different hair textures. In fact, we're the only ones with hair on the planet.
But-
we're different blood types. So when people say that we're all one, it does sound nice, but when you start to dissect it, we are in the terms of we're all energy, because energy cannot be destroyed and energy vibrates at different frequencies.
Yeah.
But in terms of if we're all one, we should be all united.
That's right.
Yeah, that's
But
true.
we're not, because of religion. Religion separates us and says you're Muslim, you're Jew, you're Christian, and then it divides even further. You're Jehovah's Witness, you're Seventh-day Adventist, you're Catholic, you're Protestant, you're Ahmadiyya, you're Sunni, you're Shiite, you're Nation of Islam, and it's just division. So wu-sabat, what it does is it brings everyone together under one umbrella as a human family, but gives you the actual facts of what you've been misled by way of religion.
But if you really have faith, you won't believe in segregation. You'll
Faith
believe
is
in
all about
positive.
belief, though. That's what
Yeah.
religion is about, belief. But
Yeah.
F-A-T-E, fate, is different from faith, you see?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the misconception comes in, because we deal with fate, i.e. you can prove things, like you know if you throw something up, it's going to come down. You know about the genetic link from your mother, which passes on to the female by way of the mitochondrial DNA. So that lineage continues, you see? Not some spook where it's just like this God character just appeared from nowhere, took dust off the ground, made a man, said, let there be this, let there be that. It sounds like a magician. Real life doesn't work like that.
I just believe we're not here to play God.
You keep saying,
We're
I
here.
believe, and I'm trying to tell you that believing is the problem. Because to believe something doesn't mean
From
it's
your
facts.
point of view, it is, but from my point of view, it's not.
Do you know the difference to believe and to know?
Yeah, but
Don't you want to know?
sometimes knowing is not. Sometimes knowing is not real when you have faith.
See what I'm saying? You're saying the opposite to what I'm saying. Like
Yeah,
you
'cause
can
we're
believe
coming from
something,
different
it doesn't
backgrounds.
mean it's true though. But that's your belief. And that's
Yeah,
fine.
that's
Everyone can have
exactly
a
what I'm
belief.
saying.
Right. But
That's my
to
belief.
graduate from believing,
Yeah.
you've got to get into knowing. That's why we say you shall know the truth, and the truth shall
I get
make you
but
free.
I was saying the truth is not always what you think it is.
No,
It's
you're
not.
missing the point.
I'm not
The
missing
word, the
point.
word,
This is my
the word. This.
opinion.
You believe in Jesus, right?
Yeah.
Jesus in the Bible
Mm-hmm.
said, "You shall know." He didn't say you shall believe. He said you shall know the truth.
Mm-hmm.
We explain what the word "know" is. The first four letters of the word knowledge. Knowledge is based on facts. Do you understand what I'm saying? So he in the red letter of the Bible says, "You shall know the truth," and it doesn't say you shall set me free. You say it shall make you free. What you're doing is you're confining, you're bounding yourself to a belief system when Jesus himself said, "You shall know the truth."
The question: did Jesus say? I'm just asking. Did he say believe like what she's doing? What other
Yeah,
like
because
her?
I'm saying
and-
about
yeah.
faith
That's
as
what I'm
well.
saying.
Faith is
yeah,
also
believe
the
in
Bible.
faith. Did Jesus say that?
No.
That's what we're trying to say. What he actually
you-
said, or what is actually said in the book, like even in the whole Garden of Eden, the knowledge of what? The tree of knowledge. When they ate of the fruit, their eyes were open to know good from evil.
Yeah.
So without knowing, you believe. You believe anything. Like the serpent said to them.
It's not
"Do
that I
you-"
believe
Not
anything.
you. When I say you, I'm talking in general terms,
yeah.
right? I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm just specifying. I don't believe anything.
But you just
We
said you
just
have
said
to
you
believe.
believe.
Now you think you don't believe
I'm
anything.
saying belief is in faith. I'm not saying I believe.
They're two different
anything, 'cause I
words,
don't.
though. That's what I'm saying. Faith and belief are two different words. They mean two different things. What happens in religion is they try to mingle the two of them together, and
But
that's
when
where
I
the
say
confusion.
belief, I mean belief in having faith.
Okay, but what is faith? In
Faith is-
accepting something you do not know. Because if I say to you, have faith, close your eyes,
But spiritually, I do know. So
spiritually you do know.
yeah.
Okay.
She believes. and
So
I
For
spiritual-
you, it's
yeah.
physically in finding the.
No,
facts,
wait.
but
We
for
deal
me-
with all levels of whether it's
Okay, all
physical.
levels. But for me, it's spiritually. I know. Because I've had experiences
Okay.
where I've experienced Jesus.
Raise your flag if you disagree. Religion was created to control the masses.
I roll my tight like this. Yeah, just put it in the back pocket.
Oh,
Disagree, raise your flag.
Mine's in my back pocket.
You disagree?
yeah.
Okay, why?
The original concept of religion, I think, was created as a structure for people to pass down generations of wisdom, faith, money even. And I think, because obviously before religion, there was tribes and stuff. So people were believing in different gods. And yeah, I think it was created as more of a structure. And I do think over time, it has kind of changed a bit in terms of some places do try to control the narrative and try to control people, but the original concept of it is meant to bring people together, and it's meant to make you free. It's not meant to be, you're not meant to be sustained to one thing.
So
you know
you
what I
said
mean.
it was created,
Yeah,
so it
It
has
was
a birth date.
but originally,
When you say originally, that's what I'm saying. Where did it start? What was the birth date of religion?
I think Ethiopia.
Okay, so what happened before it was created? Before religion, what did people do?
People were in tribes and had different,
They had a culture
yeah.
and lived according to their culture. And then someone came along and said, no, now we're going to give you this thing called religion, and you can't have your God, you can't have your own way, but you got to follow this and this book, and this is our way, which is, if it's Christianity, the Bible. But that's 6,000 years ago. So 6,000 years ago is where the birth of religion came into play, by way of the monotheistic religions. Prior to that, people lived and had a culture where they weren't being controlled or told how to think, and they were thriving. So when you look at today, the results of religion, religion causes most of the problems on the planet. The wars, the divisions, a lot of things we can talk about, fighting for land and all kinds of stuff. Everyone is waiting for a messiah or some type of person to come and save them. But at the same time, they're fighting and killing each other.
I agree with that to an extent, but I also think it's humans in general. It's
Humans
not just
created religion,
religions.
though.
Outside of religion, there's also
But you
good
agree
and
that
evil.
humans created religion, though?
Outside religion, there's good and evil, but also in religion, there's good and evil. So I think the problem is not religion, the problem is humans and the evil in the world.
Did you know?
May I show the example of control mechanism in religion? I was born in Poland, and that were the days when the Soviet Union was existing, and Poland was in a very close relationship with that country. There was a Catholic church in Poland and other churches, but the Catholic Church is still the leading force in that field. And there was a government, and officially, they just hate each other. The government said whatever church says is bad, but in fact they were cooperating for all those years, and examples are just multiply. Why? Because some people despised government, they hated government, but they were going to church. Okay, guys, we can agree while people are not watching and have control over everybody. And
Yeah.
that's the example I just experienced.
Who has control?
Those who are in power, the church
That's right.
Oh,
and the
okay.
government at the same time.
Look
Well,
at-
officially, there was a story that the church is a different part of the world, in a contradiction to government.
Church and
But-
state are supposed to be separate.
Yeah, they were
Yeah.
separate, and
Yeah.
because of a doctrine of a government, they said everything what church says is a bullshit. So
I'll
don't-
give you a
don't-
quick
don't be-
example,
don't
right?
don't believe church, believe us because we are government. And the
So-
church says don't believe government because there are such and such people.
I think
I'll give you.
While they were cooperating, they were giving names of a
Can I give you a
people.
good example?
Yeah.
You know, during COVID, the government said no one can go to church or to the mosques. They were covered. They were closed.
that's why I
So,
was
so
saying.
who's more in power? Is it God, Allah, the deities, or the government? Because if you're a religious person and your highest power is God, but then you want to go to a church during that time, but you're not allowed to because the government says you can't. So who's in control?
That's why I was saying, in terms of going to church, you don't always have to go to church to pray.
No.
No, we're
Now,
talking
I
about
don't go
control,
to-
though.
I don't
Control.
go to church all the time.
No, we're talking about control.
We're talking about control.
You see, is your God all powerful? The God that you believe in is.
Sorry, can I
is
just finish speaking?
okay, sure. Go ahead. Go on. Yeah, go ahead.
So, in terms of what you were saying about like going to church and stuff, for me personally, I don't need to go to church all the time to have a connection with God. And I think like over COVID as well, like that was proven because it's just a building at the end of the day.
What was proven?
That you don't need to go to church to have a connection with God.
Okay.
I go now and again, but at the same time, if you really have a connection with God, you can have that in your house. You can have it outside.
But remember, the question
in
is
nature.
religion controlling the masses. And I'm saying that religion was made up to control the masses. That's the point we're making. And my brother was just saying to you, if you believe that God is the most powerful, omnipotent, omnipresent, as you just said, then he should have had, or I don't know if it's is it a he? Because sometimes you say he, so that means he's a man, which is gender. So he should have been able to deal with that situation and not the government. He could have just got rid of it.
That could be said for any situation though. Not
But
just
that's the point
religion.
that we're
Yes,
making.
that's
It could be said for a workplace. It could be said for, I don't know, if you go to the gym.
Right, but
anything
what we're
could control
saying,
you.
who's in control in the workplace? Whoever is in control is going to
Mm.
be at the top. So if it's the CEO or the director, the owner of the gym,
Yeah.
there's always someone at the top. And what we're saying to you is that when you use the term God has many meanings, like someone who is in control. That's one of the meanings, because if he is in control, then he has the most power. Like your boss is the one in control.
I agree.
Right. So we're saying that whoever's got the most power in any situation is controlling the people or the masses. And we're saying when you look at real life situations, like even today, you have what you can do and what you can't do. But that's dictated by the powers that be, not by God.
Interesting perspective.
Well, if
I
you look-
see your point of view
yeah.
with that.
When you look on, let's say, medieval times, you've got a church and you've got a knighthood, you've got a king. The king was a king because the church made him a king.
Exactly.
That
Right.
was the thing.
Exactly.
But on the other hand, where the people were running away from the bad lord to the church, they could find the asylum there. And it was a situation of a bad cop and a good cop. Again, division, fear-based things. This is what we discussed before we started
Yeah.
recording, and it's
It's
a control
fear-based
mechanism.
system.
Yeah.
It depends on your perspective and your connection with God as well, because some people are very brainwashed by certain things. I'm not brainwashed, and
Do you know who?
sorry,
said-
can I just?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
yeah, I'm not brainwashed, but a lot of people are brainwashed by society and what people say, what people think. I'm not brainwashed. And I think when you actually have a genuine connection, it's different. It's very different. And you just see things
I'm
different.
just going to ask you one quick question.
Yeah.
When you wash something, does it make it clean or dirty?
Doesn't it depend what you watch?
No.
When you wash,
When you wash something,
does it make it
does
clean
it make it clean or does
or
it make it dirty?
Clean, no?
Depends
Right.
what you're washing
It makes
with.
it washed.
Oh,
I've
wash
always
your
been having
wash with.
different.
See, you said you're not brainwashed. So to wash something makes your brain clean. If your brain was dirty, being brainwashed, it's not a bad thing.
But it depends what you're washing it with. could be
That's why I
washing
said,
with anything.
that's why I use your brain. Let's say your brain, because you used brainwashed. Yeah? So we're using the brain as something being washed. That makes it clean. So it's back to front. What I'm basically trying to say to you, a lot of what you're saying or following in religion is back to front. And that's been done because the devil, who people say, they say God made the devil. Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
Why would he make a devil?
To have a
I
backup.
think for
Why would God create a devil?
balance on the earth.
For
I guess.
balance, yeah,
But
yeah.
Balance. But he can make things balance without having a devil.
Realization, for like what we can see, there's a good and a bad.
Right.
Not
But
to go
what's the
that
point
way.
of having bad?
To
If God can make
understand,
everything good, what's the point of making it bad?
No, to make people understand that in life there will be good and bad.
You know,
So
but
do not
you know
follow
what I'm
the
saying?
bad.
You're saying in life there will be good and bad. But there's only bad because God allowed bad. If he didn't allow bad, there would be no bad. There would be no evil, no murders, no killings, no bloodshed, none of that. So
ultimately, that's what we want.
yeah, that's what a good God would do. There would be no hell. There would be
that's not God's work, though. But
Sorry?
that's not God's work, though.
Whose
But
work is it then? I thought he created everything.
Yeah, but it's the devil's work. But
But who
it's all
created the
part-
devil? This is my point. You're saying it's the devil, but the devil will not exist if God didn't allow the devil to exist. And religious people will say, okay, he was once an angel, then he became the devil. And we always say, well, on whose watch did he become the devil? Did God not know that he was going to become a devil? And if he did know, why didn't he prevent him from becoming a devil? So when we bring it back to the control thing, it's because the devil makes evil fair seeming. That's what it says in the Bible.
Makes what, sorry?
Evil. It
Evil
makes
what?
it fair seeming. Because that's what God and the devil, they had a bet, right? And he said, I'm going to show you that these people are not worthy to return back to heaven. And you read Job, the devil is going back into heaven with the people. So when you say make evil fair seeming, this is why I said about the whole brainwash thing. You are given something that you think is good, but it's actually bad. You're given mechanisms of control, but you believe that they're good for you. But this is not the work of God. This is the work of the devil. And I'm saying to you, the devil is the one that's controlling your life on the planet right now by way of...
Not controlling my life.
How you know this? The book of Revelations tells you that he was cast from where? Heaven to earth. And he deceiveth the whole world. That's what it says in Revelations. So the book that you believe in tells you that he deceived the whole world. He set up your religions to deceive the whole world. The whole religious concept of good God, bad cop, as in devil, angel, lords, God, devil, etc., was set up by these particular beings that were cast from heaven. Remember, a third of the heavens were cast down with him. Have you read Revelations?
Yeah.
Yeah? So he was cast down with him to this planet. So where do you think hell is? Hell is right here. This is his domain. Do you see what I'm saying? So he created the religions to keep people under this spell and made people believe that religion is actually a good thing for them when it's actually designed to keep you suppressed. And that's what we're saying. Religion keeps the masses suppressed.
and under control.
You could say that for anything, though.
Yeah.
We're talking about
Not just religion.
We're talking about your Bible and what your Bible says.
Yeah, but I'm saying you could say that for anything.
But even if you say
Anything
that
in
for
the world.
anything, we keep
I
coming
could
back
say
to the
that
point.
about
Who is in control of everything?
I
on the
could say
planet?
that about your beliefs.
Yeah.
I
We
could
don't
say
have a
that-
We could
belief.
say that. Yeah.
You've never asked us if we have a belief or not. We don't have a belief. This is what I'm trying to explain to you. To believe something doesn't mean it's true. It's to lie to Eve, belie Eve, to lie to Eve's children. And Eve's children are the original female deities that I explained to you from ancient Egypt as Sekhmet or Sekhemtat, who was the first woman, where everybody comes from. But you have a situation where the truth has been distorted today, and most people are following blindly.
I
That's what
agree
you
to
call.
an extent.
That's what you call
But
it
that's
blind
what I
faith.
meant about being brainwashed.
Right, but I'm
Because
saying your brain is dirty. You need to wash it to clean it.
I don't need
If
to.
you, not you, when I say you, I'm talking about in general, right? If your shirt is dirty, you have to wash it to clean it.
Yeah.
So if your brain is dirty, you have to wash it to clean it.
means
How is
put
it?
the
How
right
did it get
information
dirty?
in.
That's
It
too
got
deep for me.
dirty.
I
I
can't-
know it's too deep, but this is something you may have to go and resonate on, because what we're trying to show you is how evil's been made fair seeming. So you do and say things back to front. It's like the devil will say to you on a packet of cigarettes, smoking kills, but then he will advertise it as a good thing, a cool thing to do. It tells you on the packet that it will kill you,
Yeah.
but people still smoke. So that's an example of making evil fair seeming. So what we're saying to you is that most people's brains have been dirtied with the wrong information. They believe this, they believe that, they believe this, but when you actually start to look into it and dissect it, it's not good for you. So you have to get rid of it and get the right information. We say right knowledge, right wisdom, right understanding, which leads you to sound right reasoning, where you're using your own brain and not being controlled by a religion or a book or someone else who's telling you this is what you should do and how you should live your life.
Raise your flag if you disagree. God is not more powerful than the devil.
So you all agree?
You agree?
God is not more powerful.
So the devil's got more
The
power
devil's
than
got more
God.
power.
Oh no, God has more power.
I'm getting confused with these questions now. I think I'm just zoning out.
God is not more powerful than the devil, so the devil is more powerful than God. If you disagree,
Ooh.
raise your
Yeah,
flag.
disagree.
Or the equal.
Or they're equal, yeah. raise your
Equal?
flag.
Oh.
Yeah, that's a good point.
This is why I'm still tight. Out over here.
So why do you say in the Bible that God is all powerful then, or the Quran? He's omnipresent, omnipotent. Why? Why would you say he's more powerful?
No, I do think God is more powerful, but it's very close, I would say. In the times that we're in now, it's very close.
But who makes it close or not close?
You have to pray.
It's like if you're running a race, yeah,
I don't have the answers.
there has to be a judge,
God
right?
has the answers, not me.
God has the answers. Answers to what? What does God have the answers for? You said God has
The
the
question
answers.
you asked me.
The questions you've been asking.
Okay, who makes me think of the question?
You tell me.
Well, if God is the most powerful, then he obviously is the one in control, right? So you say. But like we just said, he's either less powerful than the devil, equal to the devil, but he's certainly not more powerful than the devil, because if he was, he would get rid of the devil.
Yes, I understand there's a lot of technicalities here, but all I can say is that God is more powerful because there's people. I'm happy with I'm grateful for my life.
Amen.
Yeah, amen to that. Yeah, I'm happy. I've been given great parents. I've been getting great siblings that have taught me such right things. So I'm happy. Okay, and I want to make my parents proud. So
That doesn't answer the question, though.
no, because that's because of God, what God has taught them and what they have taught me.
To
And
be happy is subjective. Do you know what that means? Meaning that
Don't look at
My happiness is different
yeah,
to you.
what you're happy, what's happy to you might not be happy to me, and it might be different for him. So happiness is subjective. So that doesn't answer the fact that is God more powerful than the devil? Because if he is, we keep saying there should be
In
no
my
problems in
life.
the world.
In my
That's
life
in
so
your
far.
life. But when we look at the world, not just your life,
Okay.
there's more problems on the planet,
Okay.
more chaos, more evil, yeah, worldwide, and God is not doing anything about it.
That's why the world is separate, though.
Separate from what?
Like when you're in the world, it's different from being in your spirit.
Okay. How does that answer the question if God is more powerful than the devil?
Because you were saying when you look at the world as a whole,
Yeah.
there's more evil.
Yeah, but who's in control of the world?
God, but obviously the devil was taken over.
Are you following my point? You're saying God
Yeah.
is in control of the world,
obviously
but then
the
at
devil's
the same
taking
time
over.
you're saying that the devil is responsible for all the chaos.
So
How can God be in control then?
Because people are not living righteously.
Who stops them
And-
from living righteously?
The devil.
This is
Then-
what I'm saying.
then
So you
there's back to
keep, you
the
keep
God again.
giving the
So
devil
then
the
you're
power.
giving
You
More
asked
power.
for my opinion, I give it. You don't need to argue about it.
No, we're not arguing. What we're trying to do is get people to actually think and see how it doesn't make sense to say God is more powerful.
But this is my perspective. It doesn't have to make sense to you.
Okay.
Same way
no-
your perspective might not make sense to me.
yeah, but it's not
See what I
about
mean?
mine and yours. We're looking at the
But it
facts.
is because you just said it doesn't make sense.
No, but I'm saying, okay, let me say it again one more time. Religious people say God is all powerful.
Yeah.
He's everywhere, he knows everything, and he can do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If that is true, then the devil should have no power.
But I'm trying to say the world is different. People are not living righteously on earth.
According to
So-
what? What's the guidelines for living righteously?
Well, look at everything that's happening.
You're not answering my question. What's the guidelines for running it for
Sin in general. And we all sin,
who
but
created sin?
I'm not going to answer these questions.
No, that's
just
we,
gonna
by
keep
doing
going.
no. What we do is we
But
get you to
it's
think.
stimulate-
It's just to
stimulate
stimulate your
yeah,
brain
brain
because
to think.
under the guidelines of belief,
Yeah.
you can just believe what you want. But when we start to put it to the test and go, okay, sin is a bad thing,
But you can believe what you want as well.
but don't
See
deal
what I
with
mean?
belief. That's what I'm
It's
saying. We deal
different
with the
beliefs.
facts.
We
We
choose
don't.
not to
We
believe.
choose
We choose
to
to
deal
know.
with knowing because he says knowing makes you free. We are free because
But-
we're not confined by a book or by a religious doctrine that only came about 6,000 years ago that dictates what you should and what you should not do,
Yeah.
which is like playing two sides of the same coin.
I just think as humans, we don't know everything. And yeah, you can research, you can get all this knowledge, but we don't know everything. I don't think we're meant to know everything,
Everything,
either.
innit? Yeah.
I don't think we're meant to
We're not
play
meant to.
God.
But where are you
We're meant
getting
to-
that from?
This is just my perspective.
See, that's an opinion. Anyone can have an opinion.
having
or
an opinion
Yeah,
now.
but no. What we're saying is,
But you just
you're
said,
saying but we're dealing with God and the
Yeah.
Bible and the books, yeah, and we're saying to you that according to what it says in those books,
yeah,
it's saying one thing and doing something else, which is confusion. That's why it's called Babel. It's a babbling of, I say this, but I can do something different to what I'm telling you to do, which is a control mechanism. And that you as God have to step into the position of being responsible for your actions and for your decisions. That's why you have an agreeable side and a disagreeable side. And you can't be one or the other, you see, because in religion, in Christianity, they tell you to be good so that you can go to heaven. But then you ask, well, who created bad and the fact that I can go to hell? And it's the same being. So it doesn't make sense.
I respect it.
Just want to say something here.
Don't know what else to say.
The master said a saying, why believe what you can't prove when you can prove what can be trusted? Do you get that?
Right.
Why believe what you can't
Sorry.
prove when you can prove that which can be trusted? If you cannot prove a thing, then why believe it? Because really,
That's the whole point of faith, though.
no, what we're saying here is this, is that we should become investigators. You've got someone commits a crime and you've got an investigator to investigate what happened. So you've got the prosecution and you've got the defendant. So you've got two sides. So they have to produce their evidence. So a defendant cannot say, well, I believe that my client never committed the crime because I believe it. The prosecution cannot say that he done it because I believe he done it. Both sides have to come with their evidence. So the martyrs, people say to us, how do we know that what you are teaching is the facts? And the martyr teacher said it like this. You know what you have: experience, evidence, and reasoning. We cannot always use the criteria of experience, but we can use the criteria of evidence. Correlate your evidence to prove that what you are experiencing or what you have experienced is an actual fact, or is it just a figment of your imagination? Does that make sense to you all? Experience, evidence, reasoning. Reason then, based upon the evidence, we have to collate in our minds, this can be trusted. Why, again, going back, why believe what you can't prove? If you can't prove it, because once you can prove a thing, there's no need for a belief system.
That's
correct?
right.
This is the difference between spiritual and physical, though.
No, there is. It is. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, because the difference between spiritual and physical is that you're saying how if you can't prove it, but who are you proving yourself to? Why do you need to prove yourself?
You know,
do you know what I mean?
yeah, what it is that there is no difference between spirituality, between spirit and physical. There is no difference. Let's say there is a difference because everything started from the spirit realm and be materialized into the physical, but it still can be proven because there's a science now which is called quantum physics. Quantum physics is spirituality expressed scientifically because they know a lot. You study quantum physics because the master teacher said it like this. He goes, the next level to divinity is that of a quantum existing being. So he is saying that we exist beyond the physical. Do you all acknowledge that?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Meaning that we are a spiritual being. You heard the term spiritual being having a physical experience.
A
Correct?
physical being having
So a spiritual being having a physical experience. You get it?
I say that way, man.
What it means is like this. Let's say you've got this jacket on. Call this jacket your physical skin suit. Let's say what's inside your jacket, call it your spiritual being. You're not a physical being with a spirit. You're a spiritual being with a body. You get that? You're a spiritual being in physical form, not a physical being in spiritual form.
So time, matter, and space are one. They coexist together. So when you say your spiritual being, it's still attached to your physical because the time.
To an extent, yeah.
To a vast extent.
To an extent, but you also have to go out into the world and it's different.
No.
No, I'm saying as you are right now, you're connected to the spiritual world and you're here physically and you're connected to other worlds. It's just that the religious mindset looks at a spirit as if it doesn't exist. Like how when you look at hydrogen, yeah, which the scientific world used to say was the first element coming into the physical, hydrogen, H1, H2 going that way. But now with quantum physics, you subdivide the atom and go the other way where you get into what they call E1 to 99 levels. That's ether 1, ether 2 going that way, which exists, but at the time they didn't know that. But now they're able to use apparatus by subdividing the atom to go into the world of where things exist, but they're not quantifiable as they were when they were quantifying H1, H2 coming into the physical world. But they exist together just in different vibrations or frequencies and dimensions. So it's one and the same. And that's what my brother's trying to say to you, like the spirit you is here and the physical you is here. But you have to know that it's something that is real. It's not just like you say, when you go into the spiritual world, it's completely different from the physical.
That's the reality of it, though.
Yeah, end of the
There's
day,
no,
it's
there's
that.
war
yeah,
outside. There's not
yeah.
war in my spirit. Do you know what I mean? So it's completely different.
But you're attached.
Raise your flag if you disagree. Hitler was in contact with aliens.
I'm not about this one.
First of all, do you know who Hitler is or
Of
was?
course. I think everybody knows who Hitler is.
You think so? Okay. Why do you say that?
Because everybody knows Hitler.
Was it a good or a bad person?
Bad.
What about you? Right. So why? What makes you
What makes
so
you a
sure?
bad person or makes
World War II, no?
Right. So you're reading a book, a history book, of what you've been told.
We were taught. I was taught that.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Just because you were taught something, does it make it correct?
That's a question.
Yeah, because you said at the
Yeah.
beginning you were taught as growing up
whole-
about religion and
I was born
And
in
you-
UK, so the whole of the UK was
Right.
taught that.
so if
So if it's
somebody
right,
or
wrong,
a
I
group
have
of
a
people
choice.
get together and say someone's a bad person, everybody just agrees
It's good
with
and
that.
bad in everybody.
Do you know? Do you know
There
there are
is.
different beings called Hitler? Like Hitla is pronounced. How do you pronounce that? Hitla.
How would you say that?
Hi.
Hit. Hi. H-I-T.
H-A-H-I-T-L-A.
T-L-A.
How would you
Oh,
pronounce it?
hit. La.
Hitler.
La.
And how do you pronounce Hitler?
Hitler.
Good. Good. Most people don't say it phonetically like that, do they? When they see a word.
What we're basically saying is when you look at evidence, right, in history, people teach that certain people were this and people were that, but do you actually go and do the research and find out the facts about that situation? Most people don't, they just agree. Like, because going back to what we were saying about the control and who runs the world today, and why do they push a particular agenda, and why would they say something was like so terrible? Because when you start to go into all of that, you start to look at the chambers and they say how he unalived certain amounts of people and he was, you know, such a bad person. But now a lot of research is coming out that doesn't actually support that to be the case.
What do you guys
And
think? Was he a good person or was he?
We're not taking good or bad. We're always saying is just look at the facts, like the numbers that are given in terms of
Okay, but
how many people were in the
are-
chambers.
I want to ask him now.
The numbers are tricky.
Me?
No, like
Because
I'm-
I'm from
I'm
Poland,
not
I can
involved
say
in this.
something about it.
Go ahead.
The numbers were saying 6 million,
Right.
and it was said even before World War One. It was still the same number, and it was backed by the forces from here to create a country somewhere in the Middle East. But that 6 million evolved to 4.5 million. There was a marble plate somewhere in Auschwitz,
Yes.
which was saying 6 million. Then after some years it changed into 4.5 million. What
And
happened?
it's changed again.
And it changed again, and it's like 2.8 million missing now from the list.
Right.
So the Schilder wasn't right with his list.
So what I'm basically saying is when you look at facts and evidence, it gives you a completely different story. So let's say the population of the whole country wasn't even 6 million, but then you're being told that there were 6 million people that were unalive. So what we do with wu-sabat is it's about studying, researching, and looking at the evidence, like Habtui was saying. So the whole thing about Antarctica and creating the Aryan race, which was what? Blonde hair, blue eye beings. Why would Hitler, who had brown hair, was from Austria, had dark, you know, he wasn't that, what he called a superior race. Why would he create that's opposite to him and call it a superior race? So that's like saying, basically, you don't like yourself. I'm saying that to say that the world today has made certain people to be bad and certain people to be good. So in the Bible, for example, would you say the Israelites were good people and the Egyptians were bad people?
I'm not involved on this subject. All I
Okay,
know is
but you know about
all I know is
the
murder is a sin. That's all I'm going to say for this one.
murder is a
I'm
sin.
not trying to go too deep.
Okay,
Yeah.
but no, this is
True
good.
though.
This is good because we want to explore that. When you say murder is a sin, and we gave the example of the abortions, if I said to you that you murder every day, what would you say?
Every day.
Yeah, every day.
I'm not having abortions every day.
No, I'm not talking about abortions. No, listen to what I'm saying.
You murder
You murder
every day. You do.
every day. Everyone does.
Is that including yourself?
We're gonna
I
expound.
don't murder, by the way, just in case.
Okay,
Yeah.
but you know
Fair
why
to
you
watch
say
it,
that?
I don't murder.
Because what do you call life? What do you call life? So when you define what life is,
Living?
there are microscopic life forms that you step on every day and unalive them that you don't know about. Even when you have a shower and have a bath, you're killing life that is on your body. When people are driving,
Spiders.
Yeah. You
when
might
people
step
are
on a
driving
spider.
down a motorway, life was hitting the windshield or the windscreen, and they're killing every day. So then when you go to the Bible and God says, thou shalt not kill as a commandment, it doesn't say what you shouldn't kill. It just says thou shalt not
Thou
kill.
shalt not kill.
But you kill chickens, you kill goats, you kill all types of animals to eat. That's killing. That's murdering. See, now you see the difference from when we started off saying we all murder without
I've never
even
killed-
realizing.
I've never killed chickens.
Somebody,
I like chickens.
somebody else does,
But
somebody
you
else
eaten-
does it for you.
But have you eaten a
No
chicken?
comment. No comment.
Genesis verse 29, doesn't it say about you shall eat fruits of a tree?
That's right.
Yeah, Genesis
Exactly.
1:29.
That shall be your meat.
and all the beasts should eat the grass or something
Exactly.
like this?
Yeah, and again, this is why I'm making that
Nothing
point,
about chicken.
right? Because there is no, there's no animal called meat. So in Genesis 1:29, my phone, I turned it off when it rang. I was going to show you, like when you read Genesis 1:29, it says, I've given you all the herbs, all the fruits
Yeah.
that you shall use for meat. Not that you should kill animals to eat.
No flesh.
But a question, does it talk about sacrifice?
It does.
Yeah, the whole Bible and Quran talks about sacrifice.
Sacrifice, now. So aren't
And
we
this-
isn't the chicken in the living or
Yeah, it's a living
Sacrificing.
entity.
Yeah.
That's what we're saying. We're saying when you look at God and what God was doing, he was ordering David, he was ordering Abraham, he was ordering certain people to go and kill for him.
okay?
Are you vegans, by the way?
Are we vegans? Yes. Some of us are
Okay.
working towards being vegan, where some are vegetarians. You know what I'm saying? We're weaning ourselves slowly because they're all different for everybody.
All right, let me read this. Genesis 1:29. And God said, behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed, which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree in the which is the fruit of a free yielding seed, to you it shall be for meat. So he's literally saying you should eat herbs and fruits and vegetation for meat. Now, man decided that animals were going to become or called meat and started slaughtering and killing animals to eat. And then when you go into the scientific reasons of why people get sick, the many reasons is because of eating meat a lot of the times. Not saying that we're forcing or imparting our wishes on people, but this is what we're saying. The difference between facts and what you believe are completely different. Most people have never even looked at that quote like that. They just look at it like we can eat what we like.
Yeah.
But when extraterrestrials start abducting humans and eating them, that's a bad thing. Oh no, you can't do that. But you can do it to animals. So yeah, as a supreme being, we have to raise above the belief system. The belief is a control mechanism, and we really have to realize that religions, monotheistic religions of today, which are not in line with natural nature, are the problem. We got to go back to aligning with natural nature. That's what our ancestors did. And that's why there was no problem at that time on the planet.
So God was sinning.
Animals are meant to be taken care of.
And if you go to, I think it's Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse 4, God tells the Israelites, go and kill I think the land in the land of Canaan, burn down their groves, kill man, woman, and child. So God is ordering the Israelites to kill. Didn't God tell Abraham to put his son Isaac. on the barbecue because he was a bit hungry? Yeah, we're making it up.
Nothing wrong with barbecue.
No, it's about his son.
His son. His
What?
son.
There's nothing wrong with barbecuing your son.
No, it's
Yeah,
not.
yeah.
But that's what God ordered Abraham to do.
To prove how faithful he is, put him on the altar so that God could eat him, and then it goes on to say that the Lord came out and swapped it for gold. See? So God had to sell for curry gold or whatever it was.
Oh.
So yeah, it's in your Bible.
And today people barbecue every day. So where did they get that from?
And they bring gold to the altars.
Yeah. Then if you go
Sprinkle blood all over.
next time.
Raise your flag if you disagree. The gods of the Bible are cannibals.
Don't have anything to
So you're,
Well, every-
you're
If
good.
you want to know more.
What every religion
The gods of the Bible.
of the Bible.
Well, the Bible, that's a good point you just raised. When you look at religion today, the books, so Islam's only 1400 years old, and everything in Islam, everything in the book comes from the New Testament or the Old Testament. So each one copies each one going backwards, and they end up in the Sumerian tablets, the Numalish, the Gilgamesh epics, the so many tablets of, do you know what I mean, that they're found that have got stories where they were borrowed from to become your religious books. So yes, that it actually goes back to these beings. So when you start to look at the Anunnaki story is where a lot of the religious books come from. So when we say cannibal, you're hearing the word Baal at the end, because Baal is a deity, and Baal is referring to the sons of Anu, Enki, and Enlil. One is referred to as Yahweh, and Enlil is referred to as Baal. So these are the gods of the Bible that are telling you, you can't do this, and the other one says you can. And in one stage, the other one says you can do the same thing the other one just said that you couldn't do. So the Anunnaki stories of Anu and his children, Enki and Enlil, and Enlil is, when you go into it, like the son of Nana, or it's the other way around. Nana is the son of Enlil, you see? And these are the characters in your Bible when you're going God, 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 God in English. In the actual language, you're getting Baal, you're getting Yahweh, Adonai, El Shad. El Shad is a demon where you get Shaddai, you see? So when you don't know the language, what you're doing is you're reading English, but you're not realizing that these are the beings that are walking, talking, making mistakes, asking questions. Like,
Because we're imperfect.
who's imperfect?
We're imperfect.
But what determines perfection? Because when you say we're imperfect, that means there's an example of perfection.
I mean, in terms of we don't always do righteous things as human beings.
Right. So go ahead.
But who created you?
I'm not answering this question.
So
God created me.
so he create. So he
So
makes
created you to be
mistakes.
so he's made a mistake. That's what.
Oh,
No,
Well, if-
definitely not a mistake. Thank you.
If something is perfect,
Perfect.
that's perfection, and you're saying we're not perfect, that's imperfection. So that means he made
No,
a
we
mistake.
have imperfections,
And
Yeah, but where
that
does it come
but we're
from?
created perfect in His image.
But
That
where did the
doesn't-
imperfection come
That's
from?
what I'm saying. It's like you're contradicting yourself. Are
I'm
we
not
perfect?
contradicting.
Are we perfect?
I'm not contradicting. I'm saying we have imperfections.
Yeah, but what we're saying is,
but
in
we're
order for you to
perfectly-
have imperfections, means that whoever created you that way. Do you
Yeah,
agree?
because
But imperfection,
it's like good and bad. It's the same thing.
Yeah, it's human nature
No,
to
what
do
we're,
that.
okay,
Nah?
but I'm saying this, we keep coming to this point. What we're saying is, if God is perfect, everything He does is perfect, then there can't be any imperfections.
That's not true.
So where did imperfection come in?
We're not meant to be perfect. God is perfect, and we try.
Are we in the
as
image
human
and
beings.
likeness of God?
Yes, but we try as human beings, but we're never gonna.
Yeah, but if we're in the
fully-
image and likeness of God, because
Yeah.
He created us in His image and likeness, then that means if He's imperfect, we will be imperfect if we're in His image and likeness.
Yeah.
You follow me? Right, so He's imperfect then.
No.
That's not making sense. If God is perfect and we're in His image and His likeness, we should be perfect.
We should be, but
Right, if we're not, that means if we're in His image and likeness, He is not perfect. And I'm trying to explain to you that this is because the gods that you're talking about are your Enki and Enlil. They're imperfect. They're agreeable and disagreeable, which means most translate as good and bad. That's why people that have this image of a perfect God that knows everything, that can't make mistakes, is wrong, because He said it grieved Him for creating man. So either He didn't know He was going to create man to go wrong, which means He doesn't know everything, or if He did know everything and He created man and then He was grieved by His own creation, that means He made a mistake. You can't make a mistake and then be upset with Himself for making a mistake if He knows everything and knows how to make things perfectly.
boy, you have to speak to God on this one.
You have to speak to Him.
It's in your
Wait. Is this, when you say I have to speak to Him, is it a designated time that you can speak to Him? Or can you speak to Him right now?
Right now,
Can you ask Him?
what do you want me to ask?
Did he make a mistake when he grieved in his heart?
But you can ask yourself.
But
Yeah,
we're
but
trying
we
to
don't
explain
claim
to
to
you
speak to
that
God
the
like
God of
the
your
way you're
Bible
saying. Yeah.
Is your Enki and Enlil. They're two different natures. That's what we're trying to explain to you. That these concepts that you believe in are taken from ancient concepts and then being brought into the European concept and giving you a God character. Do you see what I'm
Okay.
saying?
I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
But
so-
I think that Christianity started from Ethiopia, though. I don't really believe.
Where did Ethiopia start from?
Hmm?
Where did Ethiopia start from?
What do you mean? Like what country?
I'm saying, you said you believe that Christianity started from Ethiopia. But what's the word Ethiopia in the Bible?
Have you ever looked it up? It's the word Cush.
Cush. You know who Cush is?
From Egypt, yeah.
There you go. That's why I said to you, the God comes from Egypt. When you're talking about God, you're talking about ancient Egyptian deities. Amun is one of the ones I gave you that you can find in Revelation 3:14. Why everyone that prays to God ends their prayers with Amun or Amen or Amin, because they're giving reverence to the ancient Egyptian God, who we are descendants of by
Yeah, I believe
DNA and everything.
We are descendants of
Right.
Egyptians.
I just want to go back to the topic which was asked, is God a cannibal? And he's talking about the two brothers, Enki and Enlil. Well, they are a group of beings called the Anunnaki. Anunnaki translates as Anu, the heavenly one. The Na is 50. The N is 50. The Na is to come down, and the Ki is an ancient way of saying earth. So Anunnaki translates as those beings that came from Anu, the Most High, to the planet Earth in groups of 50s. Now, there are two factions, for lack of a better word. We said Enki and we said Enlil. Enki and his group of beings are referred to as the Dinir, or the righteous ones of the rocket ships. Enlil and his group are known as the Shungal. These are disagreeables. These are your carnivores. So in the Bible, there is what's referred to as conflict of the gods. One God will tell you to do one thing, go and sacrifice mice, put your son on the altar, on the barbecue, so because we're hungry, the other god will say, no, let's change that. Let's put a goat as a
Sacrifice. Yeah.
as a offering. Okay, this is you find this lineage, these two factions throughout your whole Bible. And Osir made mention of Revelation chapter 12 verse 7, where it reads, and there was war in the heavens, in the Orion sky. The word for heavens in the Greek is Orion sky. Revelation chapter 12 verse 7.
Oranos.
Yeah, Oranos is in the Greek, the Orion star constellation. There was a Star Wars taking place. Then it reads, Michael and his angels fought against the dragon and his angels. Michael and his angels. Michael is of the Denier, the righteous ones of the rocket ship, the seraphims. You heard the terms? Seraphim and cherubim. Have you heard? Seraphim,
I've heard of
agreeable?
seraphim, yeah.
Yeah, seraphims agreeable, cherubims disagreeable. So it says Michael and his angels, angelos, messengers, fought against the dragon and his angels. Remember, so these are messengers also. But you've got messengers of the green light and you've got messengers of the amber light. Stop there, and if you jump back to Genesis chapter 2 verse 1, it also, these are the generations of the heavens and the earth and the day that were created, and it goes on to say about, and the host of them. That word host, if you went into the Hebrew, you'll see the word Saba. That word Saba means, you look it up in the Greek concord, in the Hebrew concord, you say host, it goes on to say army. That word Saba is another word to say Sabians, or we would say Musbatu. So go back now to Revelation chapter 12 verse 7 and it reads again, there's war in the heavens. Michael and his Sabians, Musbatu, fought against the dragon and his angels. They definitely weren't Sabians. They were what you call the Sugar. And it goes on to say how they were cast out. There's no place found in them in the Orion star skies anymore. They were cast out into the earth and did deceive the nations. So what we're saying here, running simultaneously on the planet, you got right knowledge and trick knowledge running simultaneously. And one of the devil's, or one of the dragon's greatest tools is this thing called religion. And even in the word religion, phonetically, it says rely on jinn. I don't know if you know what the word jinn means.
Yeah.
What is jinn? I'm not about the alcohol.
Yeah, I know
What-
jinn.
Yeah.
In Islam.
Yeah. That's right.
Do you know what it means?
The devil.
Devil, yeah.
Yeah.
Devil.
The devil, or evil beings that does one's bidding. So straight away, before you even, when you make reference to religion, this is what you're saying. We rely on jinns. And we say religion.
I'm going to look that up
Yeah.
later.
I just wanted to say something quickly on what Haptu say about the dragon is the Draco constellation, which is dealing with draconians and reptilian beings. Okay. And so you have agreeable and disagreeable, the ones that are meat or flesh eaters and the ones that are more herbivore, or they eat vegetation. This is why there's a conflict of the gods where when you get to the Cain and Abel story, where the sacrifices are being made by each one to the Lord, right? One is accepted and one is not accepted. And that obviously carried on the conflicts all the way till today, where you have people fighting against each other. And in the Bible, all the people that are loyal to Enlil, right? You get the words in the Bible where you have like the Yahwehans or the Yahwehs, and then you have those that the names end with El, like Mikael and Israel, and then the other side is the Way or the Yahwehs and so on and so forth. So it's playing out till today as we speak.
It's funny, I was literally watching a documentary the other day on cannibalism. Very interesting.
If you'd like to be part of a future video, email us at info@osmvision.co.uk.
Okay, the question I posted when I was applying for that meeting was the purpose of the universe / life, because it's mostly the same, really. You just try to explain me what's the purpose of the universe or life.
So life is discovering your potential. So your purpose is to master this physical plane and to learn, and basically, in order for you to evolve to the higher states, you have to discover your hidden potential and to master this realm. And that means you have to learn about what you're calling life. How does life begin? What is life? And when you do that, you start to realize that you get to a point where you're dealing with energy, vibration, and frequencies. And then when you apply that to the universe, you look at how did the universe come to be? Where did it start? And you will be told of something called a Big Bang. This is how it relates to sound, vibration, and frequency. Because once there's a bang, it sets in motion the chain of life. So sound always is, and then it goes from sound to light to colors, because then color comes from darkness, where it says in the religious books, God said, let there be light. So there was darkness, then light came, and light is put through a prism to separate it into different colors, which are different vibrations and frequencies. And then those slow down in vibration to become what we call things in the physical world. And you are one of those things that come from the light, which comes from the darkness. So your journey is to work your way back to where you came from. And you do that by your current situation where you are now. You have to learn that environment, master it, to understand energy, as I said. And then you realize that as an energy being, you have to go back to the source. But the source is where we go to teach you, because we are those beings that were in the darkness as the supreme beings. And then we understand and understand how things come and slow down in vibration to being in the physical. So in all your religious books, in all endeavors in life, they teach you that there is something higher or something before, and it starts off with creation. The problem is that the distortion of religions tells you that there was a being that just appeared from nowhere, and that's where creation starts. But then because we were there before creation, we then teach that existence is before creation. So we existed in the form of gases, right, known as ether, which is the combination of all the existing gases, conscious gases and conscious gases. But because people have been cut away from that, so far away from that original source of us being etheric beings, they only go to a book or to a creation story. And that's why they're limited in terms of knowing the birth of the universes, not just one universe. But you know, we can expound on that, or if my brothers want to elaborate on what I've said, then we can do that.
You touched on a Big Bang as a source of all creation, and
Not all creation.
No.
Multiple.
Multiple.
Yeah.
Because
And the one universe.
that's the different. Yeah, that's a good concept.
Yeah,
Multiple.
you are actually universe yourself.
Yeah.
Your being is a universe. See what I'm saying? And have you ever heard of the term macrocosm and
Of course.
microcosm? Yeah. So you are as above, so below. Everything has a reflection of the microcosm. And you're just a reflection of that in this dimensional, that realm that you're in, this plane that you're of existence that you're in. You see, so being that you're multi-dimensional being, you exist here as well as in other dimensions.
Yeah.
So you are actually a universe in yourself. Yeah, and that universe is connected to the multiverse.
Yes,
You
it is.
understand?
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're just a tiny little fragment, tiny little copy of
Fractal, that's right.
fractal
Yeah,
of everything,
exactly.
because
That's
that's the nature of it. You were talking about when the body decomposes. Remember that moment we were talking what happens, that you can't resurrect somebody. who is, let's say, off the expiry date, 3 days. Did you hear about the Russian scientist called Korotkov?
No.
He was doing research on, it's called gas discharge visualization, something like this. You just put your finger on a glass electrode and it just shows something like
A residual pattern.
like an, let's say, aura.
Yeah.
Something like this around your finger.
Yeah.
And it depends on your physical and mental state and everything, you know.
That's right.
That's right.
And your vibration as well. What they discovered, because they've done a lot of researches in that field, and they experimented on a bodies from the morgue as well. What they found out is 3 days, you've got this around your finger. After 3 days, it's just gone. So it may
Right.
correlate
That's what we're
with
talking
what
about with
you
the
said,
energy.
and
Yeah.
yeah. So the energy is gone.
Yeah, because you have something called curling photography, which can take a picture of you,
Exactly.
and you can see the energetic field around you,
Yeah.
which people call your aura.
Yeah.
But it will fade away after a period of days. Like we say 90 days, when your physical body is no longer here,
Yeah.
you can still be here and travel and visit loved ones as your spiritual being before you continue your journey upwards, and, as I said, journey back as far as you can go back, depending on what your composition is made of and what you've developed as a ethereal or a spiritual or a soul being or a mental being. All of those are taken into account in terms of how you've developed to go back to being a supreme or pure etheric being.
Resurrection of Christ.
So one thing I wanted to say about that resurrection,
Yeah.
there's a difference between resurrecting and resuscitating somebody.
Yeah. But
Right.
what I'm saying,
Go ahead.
saying about resurrection of a Christ. What? It's a stupid question, but what if he knew how to come back to the body?
Our ancestors knew how to do that.
Which probably was true.
Not the same body though. This is what we're saying. Like our ancestors do that by embalming and protecting the DNA and the genetics, which you can use to clone. That's what DNA is about today, where they can clone beings from a strand of DNA or whatever DNA is left. So when they did the mummification ceremonies, they were preserving the DNA and the genes in ancient Egypt, in our, ancestors' world, where they had, knowledge of the sciences of how to regenerate life from genes and genetics.
I just want to add something here, especially your first statement you made about the universe and life.
Yeah.
The master broke it down like this. We have life, living, and lived. Life is intelligence. And because he wrote a book called The Black Book, or The Sacred Records of Atumbre. And in there he said how he gave mention of the jellyfish. It doesn't have brains, a brain, but it works off of instinct. So it has intelligence, yet it has life also. So there is, having brains does not denote, or having a lack of a brain does not denote a lack of intelligence. There's instinct, but that is the process of life. Life is intelligence. That's what the Pioneer Babylon is saying. Life is intelligence. You also have living, which is the process of life. Once you have fulfilled that cycle, that life cycle, then you have lived. So it's life, living, and lived. That is just life cycle. Then we die, for lack of a better word. Now, the connection, as the brother said, you have the universe. We are miniature universes.
Yeah.
So as the brother said, as above, so below. These are the principles that was taught by way of the ancient Tamarian deity Tahuti, which calls the 9 principles of Tahuti. The Greeks came in, they revered Tahuti so much that they created their own composite character they referred to as Hermes, and his 9 doctrines, they call it the 7 Hermetic principles.
Yeah.
Have you heard of that? The
Yeah.
Hermetic principle, right? So these Hermetic principles, or the sacred wisdom of Tahuti, these are like operating systems to let us know that this is how the universe, or those forces operate, the same way how the universes were created, or those principles upon the creation of the universes are also we too are endowed with those principles as well. And the first principle is that of mentalism.
Yeah.
So the universe is mental and physical. So we are mental and physical beings. People say spiritual beings having a physical experience, but beyond the spirit, beyond the soul, there's mental. Mental is the highest of realms. You see?
Yeah.
So these are the principles. That's just
Well,
life cycle.
When you say the highest of realms, what actually means is that you have a middle point, then you come down, and then you go up. So the middle will be the mental, because everything you see around you is by way of someone's imagination or mental conception, and then it then becomes physical when they manifest that, which they've got from the mental. You see, but beyond the mental, you go to the ether or the etheric, which is the combination of all gases, basically everything that you call a thing goes into what we call nothing, which are these gases, and you start off.
So if we touch on Hermetic principles, if all is mind, so let's say the engine behind the creation is just the intelligence and awareness as a one thing.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
Okay.
We're just mental projections of that awareness,
Yeah.
learning
But-
itself.
Yeah.
But there is, like you said, behind who then gave you that framework of mental to work with?
Yeah.
And this is where we're saying the beings like Tahuti and other beings who exist beyond the mental are responsible for what we are calling mental, which is a reservoir. It's called a mental reservoir.
But what I'm just asking is, let's say there is a God who creates everything, and we've got that all-encompassing awareness and intelligence as one thing, and there is nothing else. And that's my thinking.
But that's what I'm saying to you, that you
It's
see,
nothing else.
there is
It's just
something
projecting its own, let's say, thoughts.
No, your thoughts are not your own.
No. What I'm saying, you are, the great intellect. You are the one, and your projections create everything around, like create the world, animals, and everything.
I hear what you're saying. And
It's like a concept of the God, of the God, but in a different description. Like not a holy deity in the sky.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is like...
So it's like a form of energy which is everywhere at the same time, and it's just finding its different manifestations in the form of material things.
No, but we're trying to tell you that there is states and beings beyond that. Right?
Even beyond that.
Yes. So from saying mental is the fourth plane, right?
All right, yeah.
That's actually race. So we got the physical, we got the spiritual, we got the soul. Then that's 1, 2, 3, and then you have the fourth, which is mental. And in the mental is where we are tapping into, called the mental reservoir. So everyone taps into the mental reservoir at different degrees or intelligence. So when you look at the process of life from a sperm has intelligence, because all the sperms are rushing and gushing and trying to find their way into the ovum to come here. But there's intelligence in that process. How does it know what it's doing? And we're saying that people with limited knowledge or information will say it was God. They start with the God, saying he's the creation, he's the mind that created everything. But we're saying that God is a misconception of our ancestors that exist beyond that level that you're calling mental, because mental is they call it the Akashic records, or
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like a reservoir where everything you see, because remember, to see is an illusion, because you're relying on a frequency,
Yeah,
a
which is
range,
very limited
right,
for
which
us.
is dealing
Yeah.
with photon, and is limited between 400 and 700 nanometers of the light spectrum. But just because you've given that limitation, there's stuff outside of that limit. The same with your hearing, what we then call your five senses. But as you say, those five senses are all based on one, which is touch or perception, awareness. But beyond that still exist levels of ether and our ancestors who are elemental beings, not the elemental beings that are disagreeable, who feed off of your energy, but there are beings that exist. We can go into their names like Hika, and these are terms that it becomes like magic, but it's not really magic, it's science and knowing how to personify, and go ahead.
No,
manifest.
and invoke,
And invoke things into being.
I just want to add here, you said something very interesting about all is mental, and the word we use for all is pa'ut, all existence. So
I'll tell you, I'm speaking within the limitations of the
no,
language we use here.
no,
I know it's a lame tool, really.
No, it's actually you're actually
good.
You're
The
fine.
language we are using.
We can bring it into
what
English.
I mean, the
Yeah.
language we are using every day. I mean English.
Yeah, it limits the
expression.
the full
If
expression.
I talk in my native language, it would be a different discussion.
Exactly.
100%.
Yeah.
Because the Polish dictionary is like this, while the English is like this.
Exactly.
So we just want to introduce this new terminology. So when you say all is mental, the word we use would be pa'ut, or existence. So all is mental, and mental is all. So within pa'ut, all existence is pa'ut, the all existence. You can't add to existence for where would you get it from, and you can't take away from existence for where would you put it. So we are all part of the all, pa'ut, in all. So that's why it's good to read that first principle of mentalism, because it expresses that which religion cannot express, that one principle.
And the thing is, you've been taught by people who profess to be professors, and they went to ancient Egypt to study. So when you're looking at your Greek philosophers, whether you're talking about Plato, Aristotle, Pythagoras,
Archimedes,
all of these people went to study under the great Tahuti, or they say Thoth or Hermes, but these beings are ancient Egyptian deities or gods. That's why we're saying that when you go beyond 6,000 years, you have to go to those people who had that original knowledge. This is why Jesus went to Egypt. Moses was brought up in Egypt. Abraham went to Egypt. Everyone went to Egypt because the knowledge that was the highest form of education at that time was only received by way of going to sit under the great masters who then taught you these sciences which we're teaching today, because we've gone full circle. We've realized that the religions of 6,000 years haven't worked. They can't break down. A lot of it's based on not knowing. So now we have to let the world know the actual facts. And as those teachers, or the children of those great teachers, we're here to make things clear for everyone. Hi.
Hi there. So should I make it?
Rahubat.
AK.
AK.
Yeah.
AK. Okay.
Not 47. Go ahead. What's your question?
Yeah, so my name is AK. Actually, I like my original name, but I'm 28. I've lived 28 years in this earth, and I'm Hindu. My parents are Hindu. My question currently at this age, in 28, is there life after death? That was my question, prior to coming here. But now my question is like,
Is there life after life?
what
That's
to do?
what-
Like,
yeah.
what's the right way to live the life?
Wu-sabat. But you may not know what that is. So wu-sabat is our ancient culture and way of life that our ancestors practiced, and they were in tune with nature. And if you have to think of a religion, we call that being an animist, which is one who is one with nature, in tune with nature, studies nature, learns to be a part of nature, and ultimately return back to nature. And that nature has different states of vibration. So when you look at nature around you, it manifests as healthy, like the color green refers to the, you know, the vegetation, the fruits, the trees, because they're vibrating on the green light. Okay, but then without knowing that, you reduce your vibration to coming down to just being like mortal or physical being, and forget about the essence of you, the real you, which is what we're calling that energy being, like that has different levels of vibration, your spirit, your soul, your mental, your etheric being. And the object is really to get back in tune and in connection with nature. But the best way of life is called Partaruk, which means the way in our language, because you have many ways, but you have the best or the ultimate way to live, and that's Partaruk. That's something you learn more about as you learn more about what we teach. So you're trying to reconnect with the source. My brother Habtui said that we call that the all expanding in English, because that's the best way we can explain it in English, being very limited in tones, vibration, and frequency. So it's about getting back in tune with that way of life. We can go into more details in terms of how you should live. We spoke about, you know, what you put into your body, who you call on, what you intake, the tones you use, because they have vibration and frequency that affect you, who you're speaking to, who you're calling on for help and, you know, guidance and assistance. We have one amongst us who we refer to as Pa Nababianun, known as Dr. Malachi Z.K. York, who is the incarnation of the highest being, who religions call God. In their books, they refer to him by many titles, like the angel Michael, like the green one, Al-Khadir, or Tahuti, or Thoth, or, you know, there are many titles for him, but he's a being that is known as an avatar or avatara, which is a Hindu word, incidentally, which means ilal mutajasid, which is an Arabic rendition of that, which basically means to be an incarnation on this planet. So coming from those high levels, he's able to come here and manifest there, and he's able to channel other beings that work together with him. And one of those beings is Yanun. That's why we say Pa Nabab Yanun. So that's the supreme being that has 720 degrees of knowledge, which is symbolic of having two circles of 360 degrees. One is a physical world, everything you see, touch, and, you know, by way of perception. But then you have another circle of 360 degrees, which is the unseen world, what people say spiritual, etc. When you put those two together, 360 plus 360, you get 720 degrees. And when you go to university, they teach you to have 1 degree. So you still have 719 degrees to go, you see. But the more you learn, the more you master the world around you, you start to learn how, as you say, how to live, what to do, and what not to do, so you can find your way back home.
I'd also like to add to that as well, is the best way to live would be in conformity to your culture. And meaning that your culture is your means of identification. It identifies who and what you are. Your culture is everything. The language you speak, the food, the music, the dance, everything is within your culture, under the umbrella of culture. And as you said before, even the deities that you represent, that, you know, that you should be in communication with, or your ancestors, all that is under culture. So what happens is people who do not identify with their culture, because every race has their own culture. The word, when people don't identify with their own culture or with their own identity, they adopt a foreign culture, and that word is called acculturation. So they adopt a culture that's not their own and try to amalgamate that with their own culture, so they're living like double lives or whatever.
Yeah.
See, so what's the best way to live is according to your culture. You know? At the Sabbat with wu-sabat, the master says that we're not here to take people away from their culture. You need right knowledge, so you know this is, for me to communicate with my deities, this is what I need to do, based upon my own voice box, my tones, etc., etc. So the master teacher has given us our own language, mispatia, because it resonates with our being, with our genetic makeup, with our DNA. So you have your culture and you have your language that resonates with your voice box, your DNA, your tones, your frequencies, your vibrations, your ancestors and your deities. This is how important culture is. So to answer the question, what's the best way of life for anybody, is according to their culture. Right knowledge is like a catalyst to help you make that connection with your inner being and your ancestors, etc., etc.
Okay.
No, I think you probably previous something. I mean, I'll just echo what they're saying. It's like, being in tune with natural nature that vibrates with you. So, you know, you look at animals in their own respective natural environment. Yeah, you don't see them doing certain things that contradict their nature. Do you get what I'm saying? A lion will eat meat because that's his nature.
That's his nature.
You know what I'm saying? A zebra will eat the grass because that's his nature.
Yeah.
You know, so. And then there's cohesion and there's, harmony, because everybody's living in accordance with their nature.
Right.
Now what tends to be the problem is when another being or entity, whatever, tries to impose their nature onto others. Do you see what I'm saying? And when you do that, that's when things become out of sync. And then you're no longer in your natural nature, you're doing against yourself, so you're actually damaging yourself, and you understand. And then that goes part of your DNA, as the Haptu was explaining. When your DNA becomes confused or it becomes contradictory to who you are, you're no longer in connection with your true forces of nature that operates within you. Do you get what I'm saying? Because now you're giving your energy to another force.
And this is what religion has done, where it's made.
He's going to give an example.
That the example is religion, where it's imposing a particular way of life, like from the Romans and the Greeks, on other people, like the Africans, for example. Most African descent or African people, because of things like slavery, etc., they were taken away from their natural environment, given a completely foreign way of life, where they were told to look up to or worship, a Caucasian or white looking person, and to go and pray like this. They were stripped off. You watch Roots and those types of movies, stripped off of their language, even their names. It was actually something that was done intentionally, to the point where today, when you look at like the Hindus, they have their culture. They still know about their own deities. You look at the Chinese, you look at other races, they all worship or have deities in their own image and their likeness, and they practice their culture, the way they dress, the foods they eat. Whereas with the African, they practice everything else other than their own way of life. That's because they don't realize or know what their way of life is, which is wu-sabat. That's our culture, the original culture before that whole kind of like distortion of everything, and then you're now worshipping or channeling your energy to someone else and not being your true self. So we're here to really share wu-sabat, our culture, with those who want to learn. But anyone on the planet can embrace that. It's like, even though you may have your own culture, like today you have in Africa, for example, many tribes, many languages, many ways that people consider to be their culture, but it's not the first or the original culture of the entire people. So you can still practice somebody else's culture, but it will never work for you as your own.
That's right.
Yeah.
And the thing is, what hasn't been made aware or consciously about is that you have cycles.
Cycles.
Yeah, there are cycles in this world that we live in. The cycles operate of what is called a 24,000 year cycle. Yeah, so every 24,000 years, there's a renewal, a shift in consciousness.
So cycle as
following?
in...
So like you have a planetary cycle. You even have cycles in your body. You know, your cells go through cycles. You know what I mean? The same skin cells that you have now, it's not the same as yesterday because they're constantly recycling. So it's the same thing with the planet Earth. That goes through a cycle of 24,000 years. And that breaks down into 6,000 year cycles. It's been referred to as the sun cycle and the moon cycle. Okay? So we've just come out of the moon cycle, and now we're entering, for the past 30 years or so, we're just moving into the sun cycle. So when these cycles take place, humanity's consciousness naturally starts to progress. Do you see what I'm saying? And people who were in their natural way of living start to migrate and shift back to that way of living again. So the consciousness is in you, but it's just that it's dormant because of the last cycle where religion was in control. You understand? And now questions are being asked by individuals all over the planet. Who's this? Why is that? How come this? How come that? So it's a consciousness that's taking place and it's uplifting humanity. So as Sabians, we are the next, let's say, news bearers for the next 24,000 year cycle to awaken people to the reality of who they really are and not what they've been taught to be. You see what I'm saying? And believe and accept.
Sure.
Yeah?
So by cycles, you know, you got life cycle, how life, you know, you're born, you live, as Aptu was saying, and then you people say you die, but you just recycle. Right. So you reincarnate over and over and over again until you master this plane, then you move to the next cycle, and the next cycle, and the next cycle, until you return back to, in Islam, they will say to the bosom of all. But when you think about that, the bosom is here. So you go back to yourself, from yourself, right? And so there's a cycle of life, there's a cycle of the planet, there's a cycle in terms of days, time, everything's in cycles. So that's what Osir is saying, that there are many cycles within cycles within cycles, and they change and shift depending on what cycle you're in. And we're now in the cycle of consciousness where they call it the dimensional shift, meaning that we're shifting dimensions from, you know, one dimension to the next. We're going more mental, and that means you have to use your brain. You have to actually think as opposed to just accepting and following things blindly. So people all around the world are now starting to become more conscious. This is why some people refer to it as the Christ consciousness, but it's really the sun cycle which came in. It started coming in from 1999, which is the adverse to 1966, because 1966 is when the devil was born for this last cycle, and in terms of going back to 6,000 years. So the number 6 you hear all the time is relating to the devil, like 666, even though some people try to use the, you know, protons, electrons to say that it's a good thing, but really 9 is the highest number, because when you reach 9, there are no new numbers. You just carry on until you get to 9 to the 9 power of 9. That's really telling you about 9 ether. So what we're doing is, like, now we're getting to that stage where if you look at the number 6, the way the universe and everything was moving was going in that direction. Now we're reversing that and going to the 9 direction, which is about 9 mind, 9 thinking. Everything is about 9.
Positivity.
Yeah, positivity. Yeah, so we're really now going back into that cycle of existence where things originated from.
Can I just add, when you mention about the 6, they're adverse to each other. If you look at the number 9 and you look at the number 6, they're actually a flip of each other.
Maybe, yeah.
But check this out though, we look at the number 6 and you write the letter G, what you're looking at, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
And that
That's
G
God.
goes back to the word God.
Ghost,
Ghost.
ghouls,
Yeah.
Gaborians. It just
Same.
goes with that 6
This is the spell.
gases.
The spell for you
Yeah.
not to be able to see, but now you see him.
Any more questions? You had your time. You missed it. Thank you. AK, yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Awesome, man. Thank you.
man.
Thank
That's
you.
well, man. What's your name again?
Share.
Share.
How'd you spell that? CHER.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I was just looking at your ring and I wanted to ask you about that.
Oh,
Don't hide it. Show it off.
Show it.
I mean,
What is it?
just get no paranoid. I just hide that way.
It looks like, I don't know, I can't really see
it's
it
just a
properly.
cross.
It looks like upside down cross.
When you're wearing it that way.
Okay.
Go ahead when you're ready.
Because do you know it's different, right? When you wear it the other way.
Just saying.
Just say.
So can I start with you? I just want to know more
Yeah,
about.
start with me. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I want to know more about your journey and how you came down this path. Because I'm guessing you. were born
Yeah, we'll
into
keep it short because obviously conscious of the time. Very young age, came and questions. It boils down to questioning origin, existence. Who am I? Where did I come from? You know, raised up as an Anglican, so when obviously my journey was then look, let me check the Bible. But I was also studious, and certain things that I was reading it contradicted. It was, you know, it was like once saying one thing, once saying another, didn't make sense. And then it led me to a book that I read, written by the master teacher, Dr. Malachi Z. And he mentioned certain aspects of what I was questioning, but he confirmed it. And it's the confirmation of that is why I said, you know what, this is somebody I need to listen to more. And from that journey, you just do your research. You just study, do your research, compare, speaking to other people. You can see they don't know what, do you get what I'm saying? They don't know, so they can't give you certain answers. The master, every single question I've asked has been provided. Do you understand? And confirmed.
Okay.
It's not just provided and I believe, it's been confirmed, whether it's be spiritual, physical, research, genetics, ancestors, DNA. He's given it all. And I'm no person that just sits there and just say, oh yeah, that's true. I'll do my research. Do you get what I'm saying? And then I compare. And that's how my journey is. So yeah, just to keep it short.
Okay. What was your name?
Usia Ka'areye.
And you?
Pretty much the same, but what I would say that slightly different is at some point in life, for anyone who is really wanting to know like the truth, yeah, you're going to be confronted with having to look at everything you've accepted or believe or that you're dealing with and ask yourself, is it true? And if it's not, then you start to look for answers so that you can get to the truth. And I feel that if you're sincere, you know, there's only really two sides. You can't, like they say, serve two masters. Like, do you stand for, want to know, serve truth, or do you want to stand for and believe? Because there's a big difference from knowing and believing.
But what was your journey? That's what I'm
My
asking.
journey, I came up like everybody else in a family, Christian family in my case.
Okay.
And I had questions, like they were telling me one thing, but as a child, I had my own, like, you know, you're in the world, innit? You look at things, I used to look at the stars and wonder like, what's up there, what, you know, what's really happening. But I would go to church with my parents and they couldn't answer questions of even as a child that I had. You know, as a child, you're always asking questions. Mommy,
Yeah.
why? Mommy, why? Mommy, why? And as you're growing up without these answers, you go on a journey to try and find the answers. And that's kind of like, I then went into Islam.
Oh, so you went into Christianity and Islam?
Yeah,
Oh,
because
interesting.
as a person, a seeker of truth, and you're given religion to say the world started with this person called God, whatever, then you might be a Christian, and then you might meet other people that are in other things like Islam. So I'm like, what's that about? So I want to know about that. And they couldn't answer the questions. And then you meet other people, and I'm a Hindu, I'm a Jew, I'm a this. Put the questions to them, they couldn't answer the question. Go to school can't answer the questions. I went to university, they couldn't answer the questions. So it was like, eventually I came across Dr. Malachi Z. York, and he answered every question.
Okay.
And that was it. It was like, he's got all the answers. And then I had to ask the question, if God knows everything, how comes none of these people that were representative of God could give me the answers? But yet there's this person that's giving me all the answers, and not just me, but millions of people around the world. So from that point forward, I've been on the journey, and I've just not stopped, because there's no one else on the planet that can answer the questions that he does. Not only answers them, but he puts books out explaining the questions. So most of the books he has ever published, which is over 1,000 books now, and I look at religion, they have one book, Bible, Quran, or any other leader on the planet, they write like 1 or 2 or 3 books. You know, if you look at the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he wrote books. He wrote like How to Eat to Live. He wrote a couple of other books. You look at anyone on the planet, and they're limited in their information because they don't have the ability to answer questions on every subject. So people are like in their religion for their whole life and still don't have answers. So it's a clear distinction between him. But obviously, as you get to know who he is, he's not just a normal, average Joe or physical person. As he explained, he's an extraterrestrial, an incarnation from another planet, from somewhere else, where we're calling heaven, to come and answer all these questions. You know, so that was my journey. Yeah.
That's really interesting. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
What was your name, sir?
Sakamreye.
Nice.
Yeah.
And you?
Okay, I am Haptwi Ray Atam Hatap, and my background simply is that I was brought up in an esoteric environment, and in 1989, my brother, he was at the time he was into the doctrine, and he lent me one of the master's tape. During that time, he was in the School of Islam, known as the Ansarullah, and I listened to his tape, and that's it. Simple.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So
But
what
there is
happened
a.
after that?
No, that's it. That was my journey. That's where it started from till now.
Okay.
I
Can you
was-
explain a bit more about esoteric?
I mean, the spiritual side of life. I was
Okay.
involved. My father was, groomed us that way. We do a lot of reading different people's books, and then I heard the master teacher in July 1989. Listened to his tapes, and that's my journey.
I was going to just add to that in the sense of there is an actual physical, chemical reaction when you come across the master teacher's recordings or tone, books, where we refer to that as having a DNA explosion. That's something that takes place within your being, where you then start to change, transform from the inside out. Because what it is the tones, the vibrations, the frequency, or the magic in the books is able to completely change the way you are, in the sense of, like I say all the time, and in fact I'm doing a class tonight on this. It's like many people are told what to think and not learn how to think, and that's what a master teacher was able to do, like teach us how to think for ourselves. And when you do that, you don't look at something from one perspective, Like, because if you look at something in 3D, you're looking at it from different angles, but there are more dimensions to that thing, you see. So most people get, like if you look at a square, just a flat square, that's all you can see. You can't see what's on that side, what's on that side, what's on the top, what's on the bottom, and what's on that side. To do that, you turn that square into a cube, right? A cube means, even though you're looking at something from this side as a Christian, and that's all you're seeing, but on that side, a Muslim's looking at one side of the square, and that side, but then
And they look completely different.
but they're all in one cube. So
Yeah.
when you then look at the cube on all aspects, then you're getting the full picture. But then there's another level to that. If you stack a cube on top of another cube, then now you get to a point where there's so many different dimensions
Yeah.
that you're getting much, much more. Like the example he gave was like, if you ask somebody to look at a clock, somebody will look at a clock and only see the one face and look at it like time is moving. And you got the hands, you got the long hand, the small hand, and the seconds moving. And that will be all they see. But someone else will be able to go deeper into that. Like if the clock and the smallest unit is what? What would you say is the smallest unit of time is?
Do you know one?
No, like in when you're measuring time, like a clock.
Like 1 hour.
It'll be a seconds.
Oh.
So you go tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, yeah? Now when you're thinking and looking into it, you have to say, if 60 seconds make 1 minute and you're going tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, what's in between the tick and the tock? Because that's time. That's
There's a gap.
Yeah, there's a gap that you're not accounting for, and this is how someone will look into and be like, okay, if that time is missing, but you're saying 60 seconds make 1 minute, and then you're saying 60 minutes make 1 hour, and then you're saying, people say 24 hours make a day, right? But it's really 12 hours in a day and 12 hours in the night, and the clock doesn't move, time doesn't move forward or backwards. It just is. This is what I'm saying. Like, so one person just looks at it like a clock, but when you're looking further, you start to look at all these other things that are going on. And then you say, if time doesn't move, how do you get old? That leads you to more and more questions. And then
I used to say time doesn't exist.
it doesn't.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's man-made.
exactly. So now think about that. And then your whole life of your birthdays and your aging and all the things that are surrounded around time. And you say 6,000 years, that's counting time. But what happens if you're not on the planet? Because if the planet has 24,000 miles and then your planet is circling the sun, which takes 24,000 years, why is this 24 keep happening? 24 hours in a day, 24,000 miles, 24,000 genomes, everything's around 24. And when you come outside the planet, you're not governed by the time belt of the planet. And now there are beings that exist on other planets which are double the distance from the planet Earth. So how old are they in their planet in 1 year? I don't know if I'm losing you, but like,
No,
you see what I'm saying? So,
yeah.
so your whole concept of time changes, and then you're like, there are beings that created this planet as a project, and these are the beings that are outside of what we're calling time. So they set it as, we say, Project 24, which is in Zone 6, Sector 3. This is going into the whole
Aliens.
extraterrestrial, yeah, exactly. And then you start to recognize that they seeded this planet, they watch over it, they're responsible for a lot of what's happening on the planet. They've been living here for millions of years, and some of them have had children. So some people have different abilities because they are children of extraterrestrials. And then, the intelligence comes in, because most people say they're more intelligent than the normal people on the planet, because they're able to travel intergalactically. They're able to do things that humans can't do. humans only using 10% or less of their brain. You see, so when you start to go into the details of things, then you realize that you have to be upgraded mentally.
You ever watched Planet of the Apes?
A long time ago.
Yeah, you watched it, yeah?
I don't even know if I can remember.
And do you remember when they upgraded the chimpanzee?
Yeah.
Yeah? And the chimpanzee grew with intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I'm saying? And these were done by scientists. Okay?
Yeah.
So if scientists who are of an advanced degree decided to upgrade their creation, do you get what I'm saying? And left them to mix among themselves, etc. And then these scientists then came back after X amount of years to see how they developed. This is what's happened with us. There's scientists who are of such an advanced state that they've used DNA, okay, to make certain humans or ones that were naturally grown on this planet, 24,000 connecting with their genomes, etc. Okay, and then they've come back to see how their creation has developed, whether they've developed intelligently or they've regressed. And what's happened is some of their children have regressed. So they're saying, well, we need to replenish them. We needed to replenish, or we need to upgrade them. What do you do with your phone when it gets old? Most people.
Upgrade it.
They upgrade, yeah? They want the latest this, that, you can connect AI now and all of this, Android. It's been upgraded.
Yeah.
You can use it for
But
more.
how far is it going to go?
It all
gonna keep
depends. It
upgrading.
all depends on you.
Yeah.
You have to be that being that wants to upgrade or remain in a state where you're stagnant. You know that with a tree that has been cut and has no roots is stagnant. Do you get what I'm saying? It will not go nowhere. But we are trees, if I can use that analogy, that have been nourished, do you get what I'm saying, with the right fertile soil, etc., which is the knowledge to grow, you see what I'm saying, and affect others. And that's what the sun cycle and the sun of righteousness is another name for Dr. Malachi Zijok or Parnabab Janun. The sun of righteousness will come. It says in Malachi 4:2, when you read the book of Malachi, that he will bring healing in his wings. Where else do you see a sun disk and healing in the wings? Or a sun disk with wings? What other culture do you see that? Egypt or Samaria. They're the only two cultures, and others that I've probably borrowed, they're the two cultures that shows you a sun disk with wings that is healing. And that's who this being represents, Malachi, or Dr. Malachi is a joke.
I've got a question about yourself. Can you tell us about yourself?
About myself?
Yeah.
Name?
Yeah,
What
my
you-
name is Cher. I was born into Christianity, but at the same time, I kind of went on my own path and researched spirituality a bit, and then I came back. I came back to Jesus because, I had a spiritual experience, and then that's what made me come back. But I think I'm very open-minded to hearing about other people's journeys and things like that, and I feel like my journey is a bit different to other people's. Sometimes I don't always fit in with everybody, but I've learned to embrace it. And
Do you believe Jesus is coming back?
yeah, definitely.
How will you know who he is, where he's coming to, and what for?
We'll know when the world starts changing.
When the what starts?
When the world starts changing, we'll know.
Changing to what?
Changing in a better way.
Okay, when's that going to be? Because it's been a long
I'm
time.
not God. I don't have
No,
all
no,
the
what I'm
answers.
saying is, you see what we do, we're trying to get people that
Stimulate
Yeah.
the new
believe something to kind of like analyze it, because if you're going by what the book says, then it will say one thing, but then if we then put that to the test and be like, if you were walking down the road and someone came up to you and said, I'm Jesus, I'm back, how will you know?
someone called Jesus.
No, not me. Tell me somebody
Literally, not
called
literally.
Jesus. Okay, so was that Jesus? Is he back? The one you met?
No, we'll never know. We'll never know.
So
That's what I'm saying. So how would you know? Because
In my
some
spirit, I
people
will.
in your
In my
spirit.
I'll know.
So there's no criteria of kind of like ticking the
Certain
boxes to say
indicators, yeah.
that's who he really is, because different people believe. Some people believe he's just going to come out of the sky and come down on a ladder.
Well, as an actual.
Yeah, that's for the
Physical
Muslim.
being.
Yeah, it's going to come down from heaven.
And land on a dome of a what's
Okay,
it?
no, I
Yeah.
don't.
Masjid al-Aqsa.
I don't know about.
Yeah,
Masjid.
and come down on a ladder, and that's
Who said
one.
that?
Muslims.
Muslims do that
Oh, okay.
because remember, the
respect
Muslims,
it.
Christians, and Jews are from the same religion, Abrahamic religion. So they
Yeah.
really teach the same thing. But you got those who believe that's the story of how Jesus is going to come back. You got the Jews who are still waiting from the Messiah or Masih or Meshach, right? That he hasn't even come yet, according to them. Then you got the Christians who don't have a way of explaining how he's going to come back.
You know
or they
what?
think he's just going to appear from the sky.
I don't think it's appear from the sky, but you know what it is?
That's why I asked,
Some
how
people
would
say.
you know?
Some people say Christianity is the only religion that is free. If you're truly
Free.
yeah,
Yeah.
where you can be free.
So you don't pay
You know
for
what I
it.
mean? No, I don't mean. I don't mean it like that.
No, but I'm trying to
where,
get what
if
you
you're
mean.
really following God and not, not pretending, not just,
Yeah, but how, you can't.
not just doing it for money. If you're really
I
following
do want to
God,
finish that point of knowing when Jesus comes back, though, because everyone's waiting for him to come back. And I'm saying, how will you know? Because they say he went up in the skies, just went up into heaven.
Yeah,
Do you believe that?
yeah.
You can't breathe when you go past 6 miles off the planet Earth.
Okay.
So that's not possible. And to say a being is traveling intergalactically and
But
coming
you're
all
talking on a physical level. I'm talking on a spiritual level.
yeah, but when
different.
you can't see a spirit.
Exactly.
So I'm saying, how
So
will
you
you
are
know when he
physical.
comes?
Yeah.
Because he's going to have to be physical for you to see him. And I'm trying to.
But I'm saying I'm coming from a spiritual point of view.
I
That's
know,
what
but
mean.
I'm saying he was a man when he was here physically. He walked the earth, healed people, done all that stuff physically.
But I'm not talking about physically.
Yeah, but then I'm saying, if you're not talking physically, if he's a spirit, then that's not a physical person. So how would you know or see that he's back? And I wanted to finish the point about you
Because
travel.
I have a connection with God. I pray.
I know, but
and I'm
everyone can
spiritually
say that. But
connected.
I'm saying is,
Until you're spiritually connected to the same God I am, you won't know.
I know we're not talking about God right now. I'm talking about Jesus coming back, and I'm saying, if you travel intergalactically to get here, I'm talking about the Muslims. It doesn't make sense to then need a ladder to come down. Do you know what I'm saying?
I don't know about all that.
Okay, cool. But then I'm saying with Christians now, the image of how they recognize Jesus. If you go to all the churches today, there's an image on the wall, like it's either a painting, a statue, and they have him looking a certain way with long hair,
Oh yeah,
Caucasian.
that image was changed.
So how
I
would
don't know
you
if
know
you've
the real
watched-
one?
I don't know if you've watched Hidden Colors.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So obviously the image of Jesus
Yeah.
originally was changed. This is why I say because I
Was it
used to
changed? Was it
question-
changed to?
So he was originally Ethiopian, but
Okay.
see when I was
Oh, you
younger,
mean it was changed from that to what it is today?
Yeah,
Okay, so
See-
the original one will look Ethiopian.
yeah.
So that's how he will come back, according to your belief.
How he comes back is how he comes back. I'm mixed race anyway, so I don't really.
It's not about
Doesn't really
racism.
bother
I'm just trying to like
No, I know it's not
if you
about
was
racism.
describing
Let's just do the
somebody,
facts.
I'm just saying,
Let's do
in
the
my
facts.
DNA, I have so many different variants anyway. So
right?
it's just like
So now there are different people on the planet with different DNAs, different
Yeah.
complexions, different colors, and they're all Christians,
Mm-hmm.
and they all accept that he's coming back, but they don't know when or how or what he looks like. So how will you know when
What's
he
the
comes
determining
back? Yeah.
factors?
I'm not God. I don't have the answers.
All right, let me give you the answer. In the book of Revelations, which is supposed to be the end time book, yeah, it gives you a description of Jesus. It has hair like lamb's wool, feet like burnt brass. Yeah, his eyes are like red. The voice is strong, like
The sound of many waters.
the sound of many waters. It's a description of this person.
Yeah.
And that, if you looked at that image today, and then you look at the image of the being we call Murdoch or Michael or Michael or Malachi today, that's the image that you're going to see.
That's
So
my
we
god
say-
brother's name, Malachi.
So he's already here. The
We're saying
Messiah,
the Messiah is here.
the Messiah is already here.
The black Messiah is here.
But there have been many messiahs, different messiahs for different races, for different people. And in this day and time, he is the black messiah that is here to renew our story and tell you the answers to everything you're seeking that you would like to know. From physical to spiritual to where you're going, what happens in that world, what happens here.
Do you think we're meant to know everything though?
Nobody knows everything.
Do you?
Yeah.
You think?
Yeah, because once you plug in, I just want to quickly stop about the Messiah. Dr. Malachi Ziyok, or now, okay, there's a character in the Bible called Melchizedek, Malachi Zadok, and all your prophets were after his order. He initiated all the prophets in his order of Zadok, including Jesus. Hebrews 5 verse 6 and Hebrews 6 to 7 and Hebrews chapter 6 verse 20 tells you that Jesus was a high priest after the order of Malachi Zadok or Melchizedek. If you go to Genesis 14:7, is it 14:7?
8. You talking about Melchizedek when
Yeah,
Elion
18,
didn't know?
14?
Yeah, 14, 18. Yeah.
14:18. Genesis 14:18 tells you how Abraham met up with Melchizedek or
Yeah.
Malachi Zadok, and Malachi Zadok was a high priest after the order of the Most High. So that means that the Most High is an order, it's a priesthood, and Malachi Zadok was of that order. Jesus wasn't after the order of the Most High, he was after the order of Malachi Zadok. So all your prophets, from Adam all the way down to Muhammad, were initiated into his order. Malachi, so this being Malachi Zadok, incarnates from time to time to time, and he's here with us right now in this present day and time. In Islam, they refer to him as El Khidr, the green one. And there is a chapter in the Quran that Muslims don't even know that talks about the master teacher, and it is chapter 110 in the Quran. It's called Surah Al-Nasr, the degree of the aiders, and I don't even know it.
Okay.
Yeah. And when I said nobody knows everything, that's when you're dealing with humans or mortals. But when you're dealing with an incarnated being, that's why I said he has mastered the physical as well as the spiritual. That's why he's able to answer all the questions and answers.
Dr.
Malachi, Dr. Malachi
Oh,
Ziyok,
okay.
or the being within him known as Yanun. So we are students, and we don't know everything, but we know one who does.
And he's
Wait,
ra-
is he alive?
Yes, he is.
Okay.
He's raising us
Oh, amazing.
to become like him
Amazing.
Know everything.
And what country is he in?
in the States, in the United States.
Okay.
See, the order is called, he is what you call, he's of the order called Pa Mun Babu, which is the order of the masters, galactical masters. And when people get initiated into that order, they too will possess 76 trillion years of knowledge, and 76 trillion years of knowledge is older than the sun, moon, and the stars, and the universe.
Wow.
He said that there's nothing you can tell me that I don't know.
Thank you. God
Thank
bless
you.
Thank you.
So God knows everything.
Yes.
God knows everything.
Thank you.